Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier. Last night I had a chance to stream live on the Astropub's Captain's Table, a live interactive weekly show where Paul invites a new panel of Star Citizen fans to talk about the week and answer your questions. I'm posting it up here in case you missed it, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, the Zerker01, Batman Shelley. Tonight I'm your host and space bartender at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of Twitch, and of course, as I said earlier, it's the Captain's Table. What's the Captain's Table, you might ask? Well, sometimes we talk about Star Citizen. Mostly we drink and be merry and stuff. Sometimes we venture into bullshit territory. Sorry, Noobifier's audience.
I'll just leave.
This is many, many things. Verbose is not one of those things.
So, before we get started, let's go around and introduce everyone. We're going to start clockwise, so we'll start with the few and end with the Noobifier. And then when we get to the questions, Noobifier will start, and we'll go back around to the few. So, first off, the few. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
Hey, you might know me as a popular lead character in a new game that was just released called Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Confirmed.
But I also stream on the side. It's I think I discovered Twitch 2 months ago, no, 2.5 months ago, maybe. I didn't even really know Twitch existed. I started watching streams, really loved it. I love Star Citizen, been backing since 2012. And, I said, hey, I played the game a lot, might as well start streaming it. And the love from the community has been amazing. So, yeah, I think I will continue streaming. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. You've been here for I've seen you often on Twitter or on Twitch before you started streaming.
I watched streams for about a month before I started streaming, and I jump in and I started supporting a lot of the streamers and hanging out and talking to people and everything like that. So, yeah.
Of course, Diablos has to do that. Hold on. I forgot to do that. Diablos, I hate you. Disable. Enable.
We're gonna have to make blooper reels.
Yes. Well, this is gonna go on YouTube, so you get to hear this. Sorry. Shooting Stars is playing in the background because Diablos hates me. I guess it's better that Diablos trolled me than anything else.
Or maybe he just loves your dancing.
Yes, he does. Well, everyone loves the dancing. That's the reason why this is actually a dance channel,
It is.
So where can they find you, the few?
They can find me on Twitch and Discord, really. But Twitch is where I'm at right now. I do have Twitter. It's the few_channel. But I'm not on there right now for the most part. I don't post anything on there. If you want to see me or watch my show, go to twitch.tv/thefew.
Awesome.
So follow him on Twitter because he will be using it.
Yeah.
I will use it. Mitachi will make me use it here very soon.
I think we'll all beat you until you use it.
We're all going to be tagging you on it. You'll see no content from the few, but all his info will be going to his channel. He will be like, "Wow." I
couldn't actually tag him in the announcement tweet because he hasn't tweeted. You can't tag people in pictures unless they tweeted. Or he may have something where you can't tag it.
Well, he'll work on that right now. He's going to go over there to Twitter
right now while we're on the air right here.
Let's
set up real quick.
Table at this extension, so that way you can find me and my friends.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Next we have the second most dapper man on Twitch. He runs the other bar in Star Citizen here on Twitch, Space Bar. His name doesn't matter. He's just salty. Fairly salty.
Wow, first time I've heard that one. Actually, you know what? It is the first time I've ever been referred to as dapper. I will say that. I've been called a Hawaiian reject. I've been called someone who should live in SoCal. I've been called a lot of things. Floridian, apparently.
Floridian? You're not riddled with meth. There's no way you're a Floridian.
You have to realize if you have an American audience, most of us, those are the only two coastlines we're really familiar with.
Yeah.
California and Florida. We're like, oh, well, there's other places that have ocean.
Like the planet Green.
Yes, in the Ellis system. No, my name is Farisal. I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm getting back into it again after taking a little bit of a break due to work. You can find me on Twitch as Farasalt, or you can find me on Twitter as Farasalt, or you can find me on Instagram as... Actually, I shouldn't mention that. Forget you heard anything.
Don't go to his Instagram. Twitch, we're joking. Please don't.
And yeah, I do focus on Star Citizen, though I have been branching out a bit recently to try to fill the 6 months of content that I need to do before 3.2.
Luckily, it's only... Oh, yeah, 3.2. I was going to say, luckily, we only have 2 months before we get a small update, but, you know, small, big, big, small. Various sizes. Next, we have the bro of space and the mitt of Tachi's. He puts the Tachi in Tachi Station. Matachi.
Allegedly.
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 He is the hive of scum and villainy, you know. Matachi, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
I'm Matachi. I primarily stream Star Citizen 7 days a week. I also have 2 talk shows now. We do the Space Bros show, and we also do a new show that I came up with that's actually Paul was on the premiere episode of, called The Stream Theory. It's a bi-weekly show that we do all about streaming, and is talking not that we're experts, but talking about the fact our experiences, and then answering viewer questions about streaming on Twitch specifically. We also do lots of cool, fun videos, but we do a variety of things. Right now, we're passionately obsessed with the Fuse new game, Kingdom Come Deliverance, that he stars in as Henry.
Yeah,
so,
he is Henry. Yeah,
That was all mocap.
We're gonna start the rumor that the Fuse is actually Henry, and
he's gonna get sued by some company, like, you know, like Warhorse Games is gonna be like class action lawsuit.
Well, I mean, we also started the rumor that Board Gamer is the model for the male, the nude naked male in 4K, and that Twerk is actually the female model, is the model for the female model. So
perfect.
It all works out.
Yep. So variety games, PUBG, everything else that comes out. Really looking forward. We're gonna dive in some more Sea of Thieves beta, hopefully after we're off the show tonight. So that'll be fun. Got pirates and stuff.
Pirates
Definitely have all of my attention, and it's not running on that screen right now.
Next, we have the last but certainly not least, the man who doesn't shovel shit for a living, who gives you the straight and narrow, and is despite his name not new at this, the Nubifier. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
So, hello. As Paul said, I'm the Nubifier. I try to focus on no bullshit style content. I really like to take something that's super complicated and just spend time in making it in such a way that it makes sense and it flows well. I'm not a Twitch streamer except for when I'm invited to places like this. So if you'd like to follow me on Twitch, that's fine. Nubifier 1337. But I will be the best host ever. So I will just, wherever I'm watching, you'll just see me show up there. Nubifier 1337 YouTube. That's where I lay down. That's where I do most of my stuff. And I try to keep it pretty regular. I also try to keep it a little bit diverse. I might try to take an alternate approach. Fake news? No. An alternate approach to something that may have already been talked about a bunch of times, or put the so what, the what does it all mean on the video. Yeah, same thing, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me there, and thank you very much for having me. This is always fun.
I always love to have you on because you always give a good perspective, and you're always a welcome face and of reason in this den of madness at times. So with that, let's get started. Let's start with the Nubifier here. Noob, you've got 3 questions. The first question is, what did you like about this week? Second is, what did you dislike about this week? And third, was there anything that surprised you about this week? All in regards to Star Citizen.
Okay. I haven't been on in a while, so I'm going to give you 3 things I like. 2 of them are going to be very fast.
Okay.
The roadmap. I love the roadmap. That is very, very good. I very much like Jared's new calling all devs, and reverse the verse is still a very welcome thing. I like the fact that it's interactive, that we can ask questions on Spectrum, and that we actually have the ability to upvote those questions that matter. So yeah, kudos to CIG for that. That's the only reason I'm still paying $10 a month for as a subscriber. It's not the hanger flare, although that is good, but no, quality content. And of course, for me, it gives me an opportunity to take that and play with it a little bit and make it 50-second video. So it's a content gold mine for me. And so that's what those are two things I liked. The third thing is obvious, is the Vulcan. I normally don't get too excited about ships. This one fills a very interesting void, right? So I like the fact that it's technically a soloable ship because it has a low crew. You could technically get 2 AI to run your turrets and your drones, and then be the pilot, the captain, archer, or whatever you want to be. Low cargo, a lot of people were a little bit pissed off about that. 12 SCU is still significant, but it's not meant to be a cargo ship. And I very much like the fact that they've completely separated that. So you need to have not an escort, but teamwork, right?
Yeah.
So you've got enough to be proficient and effective for a little bit. And then, like I said, the cargo forces you into that tandem gameplay where you might have a cutlass going back and forth, picking up ammo for you while you're servicing the front line.
Or a freelancer or something else like that, yeah.
Exactly. It's another similar ship that is more purpose-built for cargo, which is, again, like I said, good for teamwork. The easiest way to describe it is a mobile Cryastro. I very much like the fact that they seem to be going towards drones as most of the game mechanics, because with that last ATV, we also got some hints on how normal fuel mechanics and normal mining and everything seems to be not necessarily focused completely on drone, but it's good because it's clean, right? It answers a lot of questions. The game mechanic will make sense in real life, IRL. It'll be possible and feasible. About that, entry level industry ship would be a better term than starter.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a salty. So starter to me
I didn't
means
like that
$45. And I know, I understand what they're trying to say. The dev that said it, I know what he meant. But if I didn't know what he meant and I was a brand new citizen, they're like, starter
$180, $200, $200. What the hell?
Wow. So I like that it's a month-long concept ship, which gives people enough time to figure out if they want it or not. There's no rush at all. And that should be, my opinion is that all ships should be on sale anyways, all the time. But that's a completely different captain's table.
Yeah.
And I very much like the pre-sale is limited to concierge. And before you lose your mind on me, it seems like an elitist thing to say, but that protects the brand new citizen that doesn't have $1,000 from feeling compelled like they need to rush out and buy it, because you do have a month and you can't buy it anyways until the 22nd. So you got lots of time for people like STL Youngblood, myself, you guys to really just tear the ass out of it and tell everyone what they should and shouldn't be interested about this shit. So kudos to all of that.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say something like what I was going to say, I was blanking on that. Words, English. But you said it's a mobile Cryastro, and I would like to say it's not necessarily like a mobile Cryastro. It's more like a tow truck, which is similar to like a mobile gas station. It's not. It's not going to be the gas station. It's not going to be what is the repair ship that they released earlier. The
Crucible.
The Crucible. I was just saying,
But it is a Crucible. It does basic repairs. It does basic fuel, and it gives you bullets.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what Cryastro does.
But it's not going to be as in depth, because once we start getting the repair mechanic the in-depth repair mechanic, this is going to be very different from the Crucible in that the Crucible is designed to be like a garage, and this is more like roadside assistance. Yeah. Something like,
up and going.
You need to refuel and repair someone who on the field.
The rearm's the neatest feature of all that to me.
Right, and what size ships will be able to fully repair, fully
fighters,
rearm, etc.
Basic
fighters, and
how many would be the question and all that. It's really neat. It's going to be a great tool.
Yeah,
you basically just bring along a Buccaneer's worth of parts and hope that they drop flying Drake.
Yeah.
Or if you're a large org, you have about 3 or 4 of these running out to the battlefield from your Starfarers and from your things. They refuel themselves off the Starfare. They go back out. They're like Nubifire said, the frontline deployer. They're the guys who go in field. You got one team of guys picking up soldiers that are like and pilots that are wounded
Mhm.
or medics, and these guys are refueling the squadrons and then getting them right back in the fray instead of having to have refly
Yeah.
to the Bengals and all that stuff.
So in my previous life in the army, before I changed jobs within the military, I was an armored crewman, and they do this. This is right textbook. You have the tanks on the front line, and they're doing all the tactical maneuvers, trying to close with and engage with the enemy. And then one tactical bound behind them is the sergeant major with his echelon, and that's water truck, that's fuel truck, that's ammo truck. And every once in a while, when you do a battle replan, the sergeant major will decide where to meet up. He'll go and physically drop ammo on one tactical bound behind, maybe in a tree or in a tree line or something, and then he'll get out of there because he's extremely exposed at that point. And then that one vehicle, that one tank will back away and then go to that rendezvous. The crew will jump out, grab the bullets, load up, and get back in there. And they may pick up gas, they may pick up all kinds of stuff at that location. So this ship, whether they did it by accident or not, this ship is very realistic. And that's the kind of thing, it's like that force multiplier that will keep the Sabres and the Hornets engaged in battle. And they can come back, pick up bullets, get fixed, get fuel, and go back immediately. So they don't have to go all the way back to Carastro or all the way back to your home world and then go back. It's fucking
Yeah, but this ship won't be able to
awesome.
just dump ammo or
No,
fuel and get out of there.
but it's giving you the same kind of gameplay. They
it-
link up,
Yeah, it is kind of though, because you can your ships will disengage, and then the drones will do that for you. So instead of having to drive or instead of to fly just behind the lines and drop stuff off, it's flying close enough so that the drones can go out to right behind the front lines and then exchange that. So it's the same concept.
Yeah.
How far can those drones fly away from your ship?
don't-
And can
That's
you
the
leave
question.
those drones? Can you leave
Lots
those
of
drones in an area while you fly to a different area to fix the
So
difference?
you have to manually operate the drones. They do supposedly have an automatic factor, but I'm assuming the manual will be more efficient for repairs to target certain things.
And
All
if you're
those
too far away, you
processes.
won't have signal
And
and
I
all that stuff.
like that there's 4 drones, 2 can be used at any given time, and only
Mm-hmm.
one function per launch can be done. So if that guy needs fuel and something, you send a drone, it has to go out and fuel and then come back, and then it can go back and bring ammo. Like that. There's a lot of choices. It's not just like NASCAR where the guy comes in and picks up everything and goes. He literally needs, or not, NASCAR, IndyCar, whatever. You really have to be a lot more methodical about it, and you have to do that triage. You have to do you figure out exactly what a priority is, how much time you have. Can I give this guy 2 minutes? Does the guy have enough time, or does he need to be in and armed and then sent back without being repaired? So again, the whole point of Star Citizen is that it's not an easy button, right?
No.
The game is not supposed to be an easy button, and this ship is like razor tailored to that type of gameplay, especially if you're in a significant org that's planning on going and seeking badness. You're going to need that. You're going to need your crucibles. You're going to need all that baggage shit train. You're going to need it, or else you'll get wasted. So
But I'm curious because there's like a lot of beds and stuff in the ship, right? And I don't know if this is
4
the whole point of
beds.
this conversation is to talk about it, but like there's not a lot of cargo space, right? So if you see this ship in the verse while you're going around, is it safe to expect there's like a larger cargo ship not too far away that it's refueling and resupplying from?
Probably.
Well, not too far away could be. I mean, it could be a whole jump away if you want it to be. It just depends on what your supply lines look like, where you're trying to go with it, or it could be off by itself. I mean, if it's not supplying being a supply line provider like what me and Nubrify are talking about, it could just be 3 bros hanging out looking for, if you have a distress beacon, you get stuck somewhere.
Yep.
It's like AAA. It just comes out and does it.
Yeah.
It might have to go back to a base or something to re-outfit itself. But they could go out in the void of space and just find people and help them out wherever they wanted.
Yeah,
to.
I mean,
fuel
So it's
rats.
multiple roles.
Yeah, fuel
it's
rats.
really cool.
Yeah.
Fuel rats from Eve, Elite Dangerous. It's ED. I always like to point out fuel rats and Red Rescue Force as two in unique things. Red Rescue Force was the guys who did rescues in DayZ, and fuel rats did you're stuck with fuel. This is, and that's like in Star Citizen we have both of those. We have this the Vulcan, the Aegis Vulcan, with the fuel rats, and we have
service beacon, and then
Yeah.
it's like it's
and,
done.
and you
So
have the Cutlass Red
Cutty.
for and a Cutlass for the rescue force. So if you need to get rescued, if you're like absolutely stranded. So this is a really interesting concept, I think.
Yeah.
But unlike ED, we've got the honeypot, so I can drop a service beacon as an entrapment, So that SAR tech, that Cutlass Red, should go escorted, and this thing should not be flying around by itself,
Yeah.
right? And again, that gets back to the teamwork, which I mentioned like 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
really, like I said, if you're interested in like kind of non-combat helpful roles, if you want to be, what's that character from Overwatch, Mercy?
Yeah.
If you want to be that character, the medic in Battlefield, this is your medic. This is your med bag.
Yeah.
So it's very, very good.
It's a support character. It's in
Oh, yeah.
any RPG. You know, it's a.
And it's going to be necessary. It's going to be very sought after on the
And
battlefield.
it's going to be interesting how it applies. Like that's what I'm really looking for in the Q&A. Like a lot of questions, like on the just to substantiate like how many drones can be used, because they kind of said two different things in the video, right? One person said, well, you could probably deploy 2 guys here, and the first guy said you could only deploy 2 drones.
Yeah.
But then they made it sound like you could use two different stations to use each individual drone at the same time.
Two drones away at once.
Yeah.
Is specifically what was said.
Yep.
But the other 2 drones can be getting resupplied while 2 are out.
Yeah. So, like, if you have 4 people, you have 2 people who are manning the drones, 1 person who's flying, and then 1 person who's just like swapping out parts for the other 2 drones. So that
or
they
providing gun support or
Yeah.
whatever, with their
And
little
then,
tiny
like I
gun
said,
on top.
AI, you could feasibly, even if you're part of a large org, 1 guy could possibly run this whole thing. He'll need protection, right?
Yeah.
But no, very exciting. And I didn't mean to capitalize on so much time.
It's okay.
That's fine. It's good discussion point.
This was one of the big ones, so this will cut some of the like questions off for like the Vulcan and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like I've overstayed my welcome.
So that was what you liked. What did you dislike anything from this week?
Yeah. So this is a double-sided thing. So I didn't like the answer for no blind jump. It's not that I didn't like no blind jump. So the answer itself wasn't fleshed out enough. It was once again confusing, just like the LTI question, like, what happens, piracy, no stealing of ships. Boom. Oh, I meant no stealing of ships in
3.0, whatever.
3.1. So whatever. Anyways, so I got some notes here, so just bear with me. The answer was very quick without any detailed explanation. So with the bounty hunting and interdiction being a thing, blind jump would ruin it for other people that want to do that, right? Because you just go poof and you're gone, and you're like, well, what the hell? Now what? So it has to be fun and fair for everyone. And we can't just have that easy button that I was talking about earlier, which is just, oh shit, pirates, pow, and gone. So because the universe is PvP, there needs to be a reason to have escorts, man the turrets, and play smart. Like choose your route appropriately, send reconnaissance out to make sure that there's no one waiting for you, etc., etc. So I don't think there should be an easy, quick jump. You should be able to crash into a rock if you decide to do it. I think you should be able to do it, but there has to be like a certain risk reward there. That do I want to get shot up by pirates or do I want to smash into a rock, right?
Yeah.
So the actual gameplay wasn't what I didn't like. It was the answer. And again, what can I say, right? The show is live, and the answer is flowing, and then people ask another question, and it wasn't fully fleshed out. So
Yeah.
not being too critical. Just it would be cool if you know questions like that are coming. Spend a little bit more time because it is fundamental. It's something that Chris Roberts said in 2013, part of original Kickstarter, and people still go way back there and read that Death of a Spaceman, and they hold that stuff as textbook, as exactly
That's what Chris
will
says
happen.
it is too.
Right. The problem is now it's not 2013, and there's those people that hold on to that, and they should. But at the same time, I'd like people to keep an open mind that as other things happen, maybe what we were talking about in 2013 is not terribly relevant or would break the game. So keep an open mind. As far as surprised, there wasn't really anything that surprised me too much. Pleasantly surprised was the Vulcan. Like I said, I was good. What I was surprised about is that it's not an Aegis ship or an Envil ship.
Yeah.
Myself and Super Mac Brothers, Ryan, I just looked at it and said, Terrapin, Anvil, like just,
Yeah.
and I mean, everyone's like, oh, well, it doesn't look like an Aegis ship, but it does look like an Aegis industrial ship. And the only reason we're not familiar with it is because there's only one, and that's the Reclaimer.
Yeah.
And that cockpit is 1-for-1 out of it. And I think if it was more common and in the verse, then I wouldn't have maybe made that mistake. shame on Nubify.
And to a degree, I thought it was like a more of like a Drake style, but as I've been seeing it more and more, and as I've been thinking about it, especially in lore, it makes sense that it's Aegis, because something like this had to have been part of the military structure for hundreds, if not, for hundreds of years in the UEE. So, because they need this type of support structure, as you were talking about it. And so it makes sense that Aegis would make it, because they're one of the older ship manufacturers for the military. So
I have a question for the entire panel. Do you guys feel it's necessary to have one ship manufacturer make a wide gamut of different ships? Or would it be fair to expect Aegis to only make fighters and bombers and things that go boom, and that Anvil makes anything that's very tanky, and that Drake makes things that are very, very powerful but may blow up at any minute, and Origin makes fancy, sexy
I think it's
BMW.
fun to have. I think it's fun to have themes when it comes to your manufacturers, give them some character and flair and separate them from each other. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like if you look at real life, I mean, I feel like there's manufacturers who will make anything that they feel is in their wheelhouse and will give them a profit, right?
Like,
So it's
look at Dodge. Dodge makes a lot of muscle cars, but it also makes trucks. It also
let's
makes
make this army though. Let's make it Lockheed Martin.
Okay?
Yeah, or
Lockheed Martin also makes civilian ships, civilian planes.
Yeah.
Or you could even go look at Lincoln. Lincoln's making SUVs now because they're like, oh, there's a big market in SUVs, and they were all like town cars before.
Or we can even look at other military designers like I'm trying to think of the name of, it's not Willys that makes the Humvee.
Boeing competed in
GMC.
the I don't know, some military whatever that was like trying to build the new F-35 jet fighter. They didn't win the contract, but they competed in it to try to win that contract for the new F-35, and they lost. Yeah. So I mean, these companies that are like known for like civilian versus military, they'll do whatever they think they're going to make money at. So
yeah.
And again, I like to see a theme throughout a brand, but it doesn't need to limit what they make.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's look at SpaceX or the Boring Company. The Boring Company is a giant. They just drill holes, which is owned by Elon Musk. But Elon Musk is crazy, and so he wanted to sell flamethrowers. So he sold flamethrowers. Like,
who doesn't?
But I mean, but that's the thing.
You can get away with it. Why not? Right?
These are all heavily based on like RSI is almost entirely based off of companies like Ford or Honda or Toyota that are just like that are always there, always trying to push civilian technology in terms of automobiles, but at the same time are really concerned about their own kind of image. And then you have something like Drake, which is it's very Russian, very industrial,
effective though.
But effective, like Hind, the company or can't remember the name of the company that makes the SU.
Sequoias.
Sukralev.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them like take these manufacturers though and try to push them out of their comfort zones every once in a while, like where Drake tried to build a luxury vehicle but failed, or you know what I mean, like having I don't know.
That'd be a cool story, like to have.
Yeah,
that's what the Saber is though. Yeah. The Saber is a failed concept ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys realize that. Like the F8 Lightning and the Saber were both vying for top dog, and it lost. So they started to sell it to the civilians.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the Cutlass is too.
Right.
The Cutlass was a failed
cop ship.
Was it a failed attempt at getting the contract for the Hornet that the Hornet eventually got? So they were replacing the old Gladiuses with new ships, and then the Aegis came out with its own ship that we don't see yet. The Hornet beat both Drake and Aegis, and so.
Yeah. Or if you go with Consolidated Outland, all they did was really make Mustangs, and then they make the colonization ship, the Pioneer.
They're Tesla. I mean, that's what it's Tesla SpaceX.
The mirror of Tesla, kind of
like the Volkswagen Beetle, that was what the Mustang was supposed to be, a universal cheap vehicle for everyone can afford a brand new car. So that's what that was the point of that. And I just want to say that rework, we saw a little piece of that today or yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
good.
ever
It was
looking
gorgeous.
So
yeah,
good.
that's gonna destroy the.
I want to get my Delta back now.
Yeah,
that looks badass.
I will say it looks a little weird compared to what we've seen before. And I think that's because of the program they're rendering it in right now. Like it doesn't have any kind of pot on it. It just looks weird because we're
It's
used.
also bigger.
It's also bigger, yeah. So it looks a little more like an
I
ungainly
love the
goose.
way the cockpit looks now with that just rollover canopy. It looks amazing. So, like, it's really
Yeah, and
good.
the Delta
I'm
for
really
$65, that's going to turn out to be an Aurora killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Literally.
I mean, they just
No
redid
bullshit.
the Aurora, right? And the Aurora doesn't look anything compared to the new Mustang to me.
And it's
Yeah.
like frustrating with all the bars and shit. Like
yeah,
it's an
now
RSI
it's like,
ship,
oh,
I
we'll
get
just
it.
make this beautiful roller canopy for the Mustang, and then we'll call them the same tier of ship. I'm like, good luck
Yeah.
with that.
I want to. I want to see it when it actually is delivered and we play with it. I feel like the Mustang looks cool even as it is, but it's kind of annoying to get in and out of. And
Well, that's why they
Those
changed
fix a
it.
lot of
They've
that,
changed
yeah.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I think it looks cool. I appreciate. I love the view on the Mustang. It's like the actual view that you get when you're flying a Mustang is one of the best I feel like that you get in any ship. But with the rework, I just want to see it and have it and hold it before I really judge it. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And I hope they continue with the whole thing of the Mustang being quite fragile.
Yeah. That
Oh, I'm
fits it
sure
well.
they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The glass cannon where it doesn't have missiles,
will.
but has lots of
They will.
guns.
It's just gonna be really pretty when shit falls off.
Yeah. I mean, hell, like the Aurora looks freaking beautiful when you start beating it up. Like those jets
Oh,
of plasma that shoot
The
off the
explosions
sides
now in
and-
the starter ships are
Yeah.
great. Plasma ignite.
Yeah.
It's really cool looking.
So Matachi, I believe that was everything you fire, right? You covered everything. So Matachi, what did you like, dislike, and what surprised you?
Oh man, there was a lot to like this week. I think let me start with what I didn't like. I didn't like the org tools answer and calling all devs, but only because it wasn't. I don't know. They could have all it was like, hey, we're basically porting what's on the RSI site to Spectrum, which is important to do. But I think people, when the question was looking for something more like what kind of tools are planned, not necessarily, hey, what we're going to get instantly right now. Because, I mean, it's nice to have forums and stuff and all that. But, I mean, last year and the year before, we've talked at depth about org tools and different ways to help integrate and get our communities together and get groups of people playing together and those type of things. And I think that was more the answer they were looking for. They were looking for permission sets, like what kind of things are we going to see in the future, whether it's on Spectrum or RSI or what, for org tools and org management. And I just feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity there to talk about that. Things I did like, just real quick, I like the fact that they're come up with something to replace mag boots. That's cool. The align the surface stuff's going to be really cool because it doesn't mean it has to be like a metal surface. It doesn't have to be the certain thing. It's just how you aligned and then your
I thought that was a genius as well.
Yeah, it was really, really smart idea. It's still going to leave us some physics interesting questions, like how it's going to work and movement and.
Are they
and all this
actually
other
going to
stuff.
use thrusters to
Yeah.
make that happen? That's the question, like in the game.
Yeah. So
I don't know if that's the actual mechanic, but that's the answer of how it's supposed to be happening.
I think that will
assume
be
so.
because it will also make the. By the way, this is the Mustang. For those who are asking, this is what it looks like now. It's in gray box. But the thing is that they will eventually want oxygen. They said oxygen, radiation, other injuries, and propellant to be all things you have to manage when you're EVAing, which makes sense because in actual kind of space travel, those are all things that you have to really pay attention to when you're walking around. So it adds an element of realism without having it to be ridiculous.
Will you run out of propellant?
Yes.
Like, is that, okay.
That's why you have the service
Yeah.
beacon. So you can have the service beacon. But, I mean, we're not talking about, like, running out of propellant being like, oh, I stepped out, I ran out of propellant. It's more like, if you... I'm not going to say Hellion is a good example of it, because Hellion, you run out of stuff
horribly
quick. You just die instantly, because the whole purpose is to... because there's no inertial dampeners on your suit in Hellion, so when you leave the station or your ship, you just boost and you just go. And then the only way you stop is if you slow
have
yourself.
different types of elements to have different propellant, different types of purpose, those type of
Yeah,
things. Same
and
thing like what we have now.
and it's designed to kind of say that make sure that not everyone's running around in a heavy armor, just like a jackass, because they can repel all the idea is that this suit has ridiculous amounts of propellant, so it's an explorer suit, so you can go out and do a bunch of EVA work if you need to, whereas the heavy suit has like, hey, I'm out for 30 seconds. Oh no, I'm floating.
Yeah, I also liked obviously the Vulture. I mean, huge that we covered a lot of that though.
Yeah.
So Noob Fire stole my shit, man.
Vulture's a different ship, though.
So-
Vulture is the small reclaimer.
It means Vulcan.
Vulcan.
Oh, you meant
I
Vulcan?
mean. Vulcan,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I
Yeah,
meant.
but there's a
Vulcan.
second ship they talked about, which is the Vulture.
The
Yeah,
Drake Vulture.
which I'm not excited
I got
about
them
at all.
confused as well.
I think that's garbage. But I'll save that for an episode when they talk about it. So that could be my thing I hate. I also really enjoyed the fact they talked about mining at depth. So mining was really cool that they did on the RTV, and that they went through the process of that, what we're expecting Tier 0. And the fact that AI can refuse orders. I was like, that's pretty freaking awesome. And I love that because you see some of like what we're seeing in the Kingdom Come Deliverance, where NPCs aren't just drones or slaves of doing whatever. If you give them a stupid order or say, hey, drive and do this, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't think so, boss.
Yeah,
So
but
I
how
like
much of that? I mean, and I'm okay with that. But how is that going to turn the game into Sims? You know, like where you're like constantly saying, okay, did they have a restroom?
Well, what I
Are they
hope,
fed?
I
Are
think the
they-
direction of what they're trying to do is they're trying to give some overlay of you as a captain, or your whole job is not only complete the mission, but you're supposed to take care of your crew. That's the thing, whether they're players, NPCs, or whatever. So whether they're not necessarily happy or sad, but whether they're taken care of in general is a requirement of that. Also, it's going to make it to where, oh, I don't want to deal with the few today or fair assault, so I'm just going to hire NPCs. I'm not going to play with any of my friends today, and that's all I'm going to do. NPCs will fill the mundane roles, but they even specifically said they don't want a single player running a fleet by himself. They don't want you you have your ship and you're going to launch like 6 fighters of NPCs all the time. You know, you can have those things to augment, but not 100% reliant on that because they say it would break the game.
I just think that what they were talking about felt a lot of like Dream, like, okay, here's where we want the game to go, which is fine. But it just felt like phase 10 of the AI like development cycle of like, I mean, like the example they gave was, oh, this guy, if you ask him to go like, sacrifice his life to save you at the very end, like he may say no. The question is like, they're like so far away from AI that's that intelligent that we'll be able to understand, work with, and kind of like.
I mean, right now it could be variable, like dice roll, because they're talking about something really basic with it, and it's more trait based. Like they talk specifically about giving AI traits. Like you when you hire a guy, you can see a skill set on paper, and you can help advance that skill set to focus in areas you want to be. And they'll have certain aptitudes. Like this guy might be really proficient in engineering and gunning, but he might be crap at like navigation or pilot. He might not even have a clue. So you could assign him to different roles in that area and skill him up there. But what will be revealed over time as you get to know an NPC, whether he's on your crew or not, is different traits that come out. Like maybe he hates the UE, or maybe he used to be a pirate, or maybe some of these other things, he has these affinities for things, or he gets drunk easy, or he falls asleep on duty. And those things will impact your gameplay, but you might not know those right off and have to discover them through the process.
And that's not as complicated as it sounds. It sounds complicated as balls, but
it's a random dice roll. 30% of the time, this guy's going to fall asleep on you.
Yeah,
I mean, there's games that do that all the time.
And what they'll probably do is they'll probably have very specific categories. Like they'll have 2 or 3 different categories, tables of like personality traits, different types. Like this is physical, this is emotional, and this is experience based. And then they'll have a list of maybe 10 or 20 in each to start with, and then they'll just randomly be like, all right, cool, we'll just have the computer randomly generate the background for this guy. And so it'll pull it up like things like RimWorld do this really well, where they kind of pull up their own traits. RimWorld actually is a great example because there's tons of varying traits and there's random chances of what happens. Like sometimes if you got a guy who's addicted, who's more prone to abusing like alcohol and drugs, you give him alcohol and drugs, he could eventually go on to binges and just go crazy and start punching people if he doesn't get his booze and that kind of stuff, because it's built into his personality character. It's that, and that's a Unity game.
I was going to say, and it's not that advanced AI. I mean, I think the advanced AI that I say is like what you're talking about, the few where it's like 10th level stuff, is where they're like, oh, and this guy will remember who you are, and they'll remember what you talked about last time, and then they'll have a certain feeling about it and all this stuff. I mean, I get the random generation stuff, and even in Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's like if you are nice to a guy, he'll be friendly with you. He's less likely to do certain aspects of it but I don't think the AI to accomplish this type of stuff is that complicated. I think having the AI live and breathe and run a certain route of stuff in Star Citizen, and then remember you to retain all this stuff, that's where the complexity is going to come come in a lot.
Is there ever going to be a moment where you like find like that A+ AI character and you're like, okay, this guy knows how to gun, he's got experience, he's amazing, right? He's an amazing turret gunner maybe, and you want to hire him for your ship, and you are willing to pay him a certain amount of money, and he comes aboard your ship and he looks around, he's just like, hell no, and he walks away. Like, is
No.
that like what they're going for? Or
They're
is it
not.
different?
They're trying to get them to where they're generally obedient. You know,
Okay.
just like a rational person would be.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that's revealed that they're just kind of whatever. If a guy's generally he's always performs well and you get to know him and all this stuff and he's fine, he's not going to randomly decide to come over and stab you in the back or something of that crazy.
Yeah.
Or
they don't want
they're trying to make it so that you can't tell the guy, like, you by yourself go fight off the entire boarding party. He'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
no, that's not a thing. So more realistic, that you can't just send, your drones, literally AI drones, to stop the boarding party. It has to make sense, right?
That makes sense. I mean, I see like things like having luxuries on your ship as a way maybe to like decrease the cost of AI, right? Like if you like hire somebody and he's working for you, if you have like fresh food or like luxury like bedding or I don't know, whatever it is, then maybe it's cheaper.
Maybe he'll just like hire Fanutin people, try to get on your ship, and you could if you hire cheap guys, maybe the other characters would be like, I ain't working with that asshole. What the hell? It's like this guy's, and he stinks. He didn't take a bath. It's like something like that. So I mean, I think it's balanced with that, but I think all of it, again, we need to always say they drive the game to where they want you to play with players. Players will always have the aptitude to be better than the AI. There is no win button for hiring a bunch of AI, even at their max level, where they're always going to be able to just insta-pop everybody else.
Yep.
So I think the people that are going to be frustrated with this is where they have an Idris, they hire out like 95% of the crew to be AI for pivotal roles, and then players come in and smoke them still. They'll be like, well, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. I spent X amount of money. I should be able to do what I want. Hacker. It's not gonna work.
For me, the main value I see of AI is just stocking up the large capital ships with like NPC players that'll prevent boarding parties from taking over the ship.
I look at it for that, janitors, other roles that like your friends don't want to do because they're not fun. They're just not fun to do. Maintenance, general. I mean, it might be
just running turrets. Like
Yeah, it might be fun to do like engineering when it's pivotal and you have to get your guy in there to replace that component or the ship's going to explode. But when it's like, hey, circuit 121's on the fritz again, I mean, I don't want to get on my seat and do that crap. I mean, I want somebody else to go do it.
Yeah, NPCs are for the side characters.
Yeah.
Players are for those main like hero roles, right?
NPCs are Ensign Ricky, whereas the like main characters are Lieutenant Uhura or Wesley Crusher.
Luke Skywalker in the X-wing blowing up the Death Star.
Yeah, I want to have like Spaceball turret gunners.
He's not Red One.
Cross-eyed, and they're just shooting randomly all the time. Like, there's nothing out there.
Keep shooting, assholes.
So Porkins is an AI.
Yeah.
Porkins is an AI, but not Luke Skywalker.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I don't know. That was what you liked, right, Mitachi?
Yes, that's what I liked.
What do you dislike?
Oh, I gave the dislike. That was
the
org tools, and I also agree with the blind jumping thing. I don't like either. Surprised wise it is pretty much the same thing Nuberfire was. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this ship. It was really good.
All right.
Wait, surprised by how much you enjoyed what?
The Vulcan.
The ship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fairasult, what did you like, dislike, and what surprised you?
What I liked and what surprised me was actually the same thing, which is the Vulcan. Basically, I was very surprised that they made such a versatile ship. They've been focusing so much, especially on the bigger ships, of making them specializing in one role. And yes, it could be said that the role that the Vulcan specializes in is support. But at the same time, it kind of does so many things. I'm going to expect them to do it reasonably well, not very well. But it's a very universal ship. I think it's a really good direction that they're going. After seeing so many things that are very, very specialized. So, yeah, that was good. What did I not enjoy? I ran out of beer at one point. Wasn't good.
Was there? So, all right, cool. I was gonna say, was there anything else that surprised you other than the Vulcan?
again, I haven't been on for quite a long time. One of the things that surprises and also really makes me happy is the new Calling All Devs format. I think it's a fantastic format and really gives the community much better access to the right people for answers, rather than having to wait for them to come around on cycle, which could be 6 months from now.
And it's also great, I think, because it gives those people a chance to explain, because there's so many people who are just coming up with their own responses, their own answers to something, and they probably already know the answers, and they're like, no, that's fucking stupid. But they don't have the time to go onto every forum and every forum post or every post on Reddit and be like, yeah, you know. All right, The Few. What did you like? What did you dislike?
My turn
And
already.
What surprised you? Yeah.
All right. So, what did I like? One thing I liked is actually server performance in the PU. It seems to have been increasing steadily over the last week or so, especially after the latest server patches. I think they decreased some of the. I feel, and I don't know if it's true, but I think they decreased some of the interdiction going on and whatnot. So the server performance seems a lot better. What are we doing, New Fire?
No, they got rid of it.
Okay. Well, they got rid of it.
For right now.
Okay. Well, either way, the performance is a lot better, and I'm loving it. I also overclocked my system a little bit, so I'm getting some performance boosts from there. But yes, my live streaming in the PU has gotten significantly better over the week. What did I like about the actual news, though? So RTV, this RTV that happened on Friday was hands down the best RTV, maybe just the best communication I've ever seen so far from Star Citizen over the last few months. It was so raw, and I know that Nubifier was talking about how he didn't like some of the answers being like half-baked, which is fine, but I think that just is an example of how raw the questions are coming to the developers. Sometimes these developers don't know all that history or whatever, and Dan, I think his name is Dan, was the on the left.
Yep.
Man, he was genius. I want them to give him his own show, and I just want every week to like listen to Dan talk about his thoughts about the game and what they're gonna do.
They got him building mining
and
right
then,
now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Vulcan overall, I'm like not super excited about. I do own 4 of them, and I just gave one away today on a stream. But I do like the fact that it's a variety ship. It creates a richer universe. I love how we're not just producing these like dogfighters and like ships that are literally designed to like shoot and blow things up as fast as possible. So that was really exciting for me as well. Dislikes, no Carrick update.
No, they did update it. They said it's not on the schedule.
They did. It was kind of like a non-update.
I'm sorry.
And I know, like, Jared
I'm
had
sorry.
promised
As a
that he
Banu merchantman owner, all I gotta say is join the club.
It's called the Benny Merchant Myth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a Carrick, but I'm not like it's not like my main ship that I'm waiting for and I'm super excited for. I think it's a pretty awesome ship. I'm okay to wait for it. But I was kind of disheartened when I realized they weren't doing any work on it whatsoever. It sounds like, is that true? Is that a true statement? I thought they said it was on hold and they weren't actually working on it. Correct?
I don't think they're working on any of those ships. I think the problem is that the Carrick involves exploration mechanics, which are not in game right now, and it requires other systems which also aren't in game, like planetary systems and solar systems. So it's like, why work on it now when there are other things you can work on?
Yeah, from memory, they spent some time. I think it was Josh Coons. Spent some time on White Box on the Carrick end of last year. But most likely I'm only assuming here they came across some problems that they just couldn't resolve with the current technology.
No.
It just needs functionality. Like it needs a repair bay. It needs drone functionality. It needs some weird little ship called the Pisces,
which we still have no idea what it is yet.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I understand that they're holding back communication for who knows what reasons. But it's like okay, it's on hold. Maybe it's on hold because certain other things are higher priority. And we have to get them done for Squadron 42, or because maybe it's missing like the certain key components or gameplay mechanics we're waiting for before we start finishing and polishing it up. I don't know. So that's fine. But we didn't get anything. It was more like it's not being worked on. We'll update you at some point in the future. So that was kind of a dislike. And then surprise was also the no Carrick update. But then also one thing, and maybe this is my naivety, I guess is the right word for this, is that during the RTV, there was some mention of the reclaimer processing not only data I guess, or recovering data type things from ships, but also air.
Wow.
And so I'm curious, is this something I just missed out over the last couple months? It was a quick comment he made talking about reclaiming fuel, like metals, and then air or something like that from atmosphere ships. So, and that made me think, are we actually in the game, are we managing ship-like reserves of oxygen and other types of gases needed to support life? This is, again, I think this is naivety from me, but like that was a shock to me. I didn't realize that the game was going to be that detailed in that regard.
Well, a lot of people complained about the survival elements in the game, but these things have been part of the plans since the very beginning, because they're gonna shove Star Citizen full of things that'll cost you money, and that's intentional, not actual money, but in-game money. Because go ahead.
I have a breakdown. So specifically, what he said was that salvage is going to be broken down into at least 5 disciplines. Hull stripping, mulching to collect raw material, item extraction to collect valuable items like the weapons, anything that hasn't been blown up. Data extraction, which is super exciting because that's your flight recorder and all the telemetry and potentially your org list, where you've been, like all that stuff. And that to me is like really exciting. And then siphoning to reclaim air and fuel. And that's good because those tanks, if they're intact, like you say, so effectively, if that's what salvage is going to be, let's project that to other mechanics, right? Like medical and all these other things. So again, when they say no push button start, they mean it. If that's where they're going, I'm a big proponent of that. That's exactly what I want.
The amount of knowledge and gameplay you're gonna have, like just in these very narrow vertical slices of the game, just sounds intense. Like when they were talking about mining, they're like different wattages and lasers, and you have to hit certain very like peak bands.
You have to monitor it. It's not like EVE Online where you just click a button and you're mining and then you just got to manage cargo. You have to make sure you don't get a blowback. And some objects require multiple miners to actually mine that type of thing. You can't use just one person. That's really
this game seems designed to prevent like people building macros to play the game for them. Like it's like complicated.
Well, here's the big thing: is one of the biggest issues that they were looking at when they first started putting together the concept for the game was long term. Chris Roberts wanted this game to last for 10 years. And one of the biggest problems about MMOs that last a long time is inflation. Just look at WoW, for example. What cost a gold 2 to 5 years ago in game now is 50 gold because people just have more money because there's nothing they're spending it on, or it's just not as much. So this game is from its very onset. That's what insurance is. It's not really a mechanic in terms of gameplay, though it kind of has been used as a way to prevent trolling. But it was originally its original concept was a money sink to have players throw in-game money into routinely to also add a little bit of level of immersion. Also repairs, wear and tear, fuel, air, food, NPCs, docking fees, operating costs in general, all of these things will add up. So the idea is that you'll make money, and they're hoping you make money, but when you make 5,000 UEC for a mission or on a trade run, eventually you'll look at the bill and it'll have cost you 4,000 UEC just to do the job in the first place. So you're still making money, but you're not making as much money as you think you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's also counteracting the "I'll just take my Idris everywhere" argument.
Yeah, because I've actually heard a dev talk about like the operating costs that they were throwing ideas. Now, you didn't say the exact numbers, but you said people who think that they can just run an Idris with 1 or 2 people haven't thought about the operating costs of just how.
I really hope the gameplay from an economic perspective really requires coordination with a lot of people to start making serious money, like to reflect the real world a little bit. It's like there should be some sort of natural equilibrium peak when it comes to wealth. I feel like that where you're like, and I know there's a whole pay to win versus not pay to win mentality, so who knows, but it's like, like in the real world, it's really hard to break through certain boundaries. So obviously people should be able to own fairly large ships and be able to do lots of really cool things. And they've kind of mentioned before, but you get these capital ships like Idris and Javelins, and it's like to whatever the wealth is required to maintain, buy, and support a ship like that. I'm curious to wondering if it'll require, if they'll build that into the economics of the game, where it'll be complicated enough to work in large teams to maintain wealth on that scale?
I actually can talk about that. So the org that I'm part of, we actually are broken down into wings that are like industry and that type of thing. And it's not so much a tax, but the guys that are part of Goldwing, for example, that are part of industry cargo, they're all on board with the idea that not all of their profit is going to be going directly to them. That there is going to be, like, by association being part of the org and what the org is able to achieve, that their function is to make the money which drives the org. So they may do a cargo run and it be expected to give up 50% of the profit, right? But that goes to drive the javelin or drive the fighters or drive everything else. Like, they may get free escort, but they're going to pay the org for that, right? So I agree with you 100%. It's going to cost money. It should cost money, or else there's no point playing the game, right? If I have an auto button that just like set my guys to stun and to go have dinner and come back and I've got 100,000 credits, then there's no point. I'm going to go play My Little Pony World or some other game that's challenging.
Yeah.
But do you think the game will evolve in such a way that you'll have those Bill Gates and Elon Musks who, like, I know Elon Musk and Bill Gates themselves are coordinating with lots of people, right? But like the idea of, can you be an asset owner, maybe, where you just own lots of stock or lots of property and somehow like own agencies and fund them out of your own pocket?
Of course.
Or will there be more of a group play where the group has to like own and manage and create wealth?
You have both.
And I'm sorry if I'm derailing the conversation.
No.
No, that's conversation. This is good.
Okay.
You'll have both, I think, because you'll have the people who are like the Montoyas of the world for Test Squadron, who he's the leader of Test Squadron. He's not the owner of everything, but because he's the leader of Test Squadron, because he has a lot of sway inside of Test Squadron as a whole, what he says usually goes, and he has a lot of experience running groups, just like a Elon Musk or a Bill Gates. So when he speaks, more people listen because of his power inside of a larger organization. But then you also have organizations like Angels of the Warp or Enemy Contact, who you may have one or two people popping up like Noobifire, since he does YouTube videos, but you don't necessarily see one person stand out as the whole organization, is like the face of the organization or the person who's controlling everything. But there's a lot of work that goes together within the group. And they still get a lot of stuff done, so they may be well known because of this or that,
In the end, NPCs are going to be the richest
they will.
entities inside the game. They've already said that the 1% will always be NPCs. They will never allow players to
Revolution!
Yeah.
Control the means of production.
Because even though you might be way more like in the top 3%, or you might be the player base that like you are the leadership, you have the money here, they're always going to create to where there's something above you. You will never be able to
What do you think
financially or influence-wise. Like,
what do you think the mechanic is they're going to do that though? Use like, so for example, if I make trillions,
if you make trillions, they'll just print a guy that makes quadrillions.
You think there's two ways to accomplish that? It's either I make trillions and then all of a sudden they like create somebody who's even more like,
or they'll just boost who
than me,
exists in the game,
or
Game
they
Master.
create sort of incremental tax structure that as I get wealthier, there's some sort of forcing function that pushes my wealth down.
I don't think they're going to try to push you down as much as raise NPCs up.
Yeah.
Because it makes it more friendly. Why bring the stick to the conversation when they can just carrot saying, "Oh, you're rich," but they're richer. The same way, if we think about it, they talk about the 10-to-1 ratio on NPCs to players. If you have like the game gets really hot and they sell another 2-3 million copies of the game, they're going at some level have to create more NPCs. And if the game falls off population wise at some point and goes down to like 500,000 players or whatever, they have to reduce the population. But there's gonna be certain key NPCs, I think, that are always there. Then there's just going to be filler population that expands and contracts with the amount of player base there is.
And it's also important to remember that inflation basically is the players having too much money and not having enough stuff to spend on. So as a result, you end up with more money in circulation, and thus prices go up because players like, well, I know that you can afford 50 or 500,000 UEC for this because everyone's rich. And I'm not selling it, because that guy sold the version that I have for 450,000, and I think I can sell for 500,000. It's just basic economics, and I think that's what's going to happen long term with Star Citizen is That's why they're adding all these little fees. So they will have an incremental tax structure, which matters, but only matters upon death. And because their goal is, again, to force you to use money.
Yeah, you think they're just going to have a large inheritance tax?
Oh, huge. It's going to be 50%. I guarantee you it'll be 50% estate tax for everything. And you'll have to pay some of that for the ships because they're for the wealth, or ships and land now. God damn, I didn't even think about that. Like inheriting land.
I mean, I think they're always going to have challenges out there for a lot of money, and you don't have anything to do with it. There's going to be challenges out there for people that have that kind of money and influence to go and do other things. If you rather turtle in the green zone and just with all your wealth, you could do that, but you're probably going to get bored. And if you're just rolling around your 890 jump out in like neutral space, there's probably going to be, hey, look at this rich asshole out here. We're just more pirates are going to come at you. So it's like, if you want to have fun and you have money, there'll be opportunities for you. I don't think anybody will get bored in the game unless you just create your own situation where you've become bored because you don't do anything. That's going to be the challenge.
Mm-hmm. And the long shot,
you hate to become a board gamer.
As
long
he's
shot about to hit 100,000. You guys know that, right?
Yeah,
he's on the cusp of getting a silver play button.
It's the silver. It's the gold that you get 1 million, right?
What? Yeah, no, because there's it's it's the little one, the first one.
Yeah,
100,000 sounds like it's nothing, but it is a big deal.
It's a huge deal for Star Citizen
communities. Yeah, it's so tiny, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like people talk about, like me and Matachi, they'll say, oh, you guys are big streamers. Like, we're tiny compared to, like right now there's 150 people watching.
Also, Twitch is a tiny platform. People don't realize. I mean, there's 91 Amazon Prime subscribers. 91 million subscribers on Amazon Prime. How many of them use their free Prime sub on even Twitch?
Very little.
Not even
and
like
then
90%.
Even within even in the YouTube and the Twitch communities, though, Eat Star Citizen is a very small community in comparison. We're just very active. That's all. We're just more active than, Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
We're just like the really loud drunk guy at a party.
Yes.
You have all these drunks and cultists mixed together. It's like, you get, that's what it gets.
Yes. Hail Christ Roberts, let's get wasted. So that
drink from the wine.
That concludes I believe the kind of main section. All the introductions. Now we're gonna get to the questions. Here's the caveats. First off, none of us are CIG employees. But
I think all of us have now been cited as CIG employees. I know that Nubify has been cited as CIG. I know that Paul's been cited.
I'm a shrill. I had to go figure out what that word meant.
Yeah, the shill. Yeah.
I'm too new on the scene. Nobody knows me yet, so
shill. I was like, isn't a shrill an animal or something?
Oh, right. I'm definitely becoming a shrill.
So
and a master of the English language.
I'm still working on it.
None of us are CIG employees, but this is going to cause every CIG employee in chat to shiver a little bit. But we have no problem answering official CIG questions that you can then run to the forums and tell them that you heard about it from CIG Fair Assault or CIG The Few, and make sure you told them that you saw it on the captain's table and tag all of the big guy, Xylo, Disco Lando, Ulf, Sandy, Chris Roberts. They love it when you do that because I'm a glutton for punishment and I like to troll CIG.
He jokes about it, but it happens.
It does.
Roberts?
Yeah. Disco Roberts. Oh. But yeah, feel free to ask, but you can ask any question you want. There are some more caveats as well, though. If you ask stupid questions, you get stupid answers. Also ask questions. Don't make statements. If you make a statement, I'm just going to make fun of you and then move on. Also, there are some questions, especially with Twitch's new rules, that if you ask, I am just going to ignore because I like streaming and I don't want to get banned.
Yes.
So, whatever. So, with that being said, let's get started with some of these questions. So, the first question comes from Gildus Atter, who asks, is the Terrapin's back seat the biggest waste of space on any ship? We don't know yet.
Wait, there's a back seat?
It looks bad. Yeah,
there's two.
It's in the middle.
Captain's scanning thing, right?
The spinny seat.
Yeah, it's a scanning suite. It's like where you go to scan stuff.
Oh, you're talking about the center seat. The one that's got the thing that comes down over top?
The crew station.
Yeah. The one that's just there to block you from being able to use as a cargo ship. Yeah.
The one we know that does the scanning, but we have no idea what it looks like, how it works, or any of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I think the way you design a movie set, right? Like if you were on a Star Wars movie, having somebody jump in that middle seat to do some scanning thing would be good cinema.
Mm-hmm.
In a game, I don't know how much you need it.
Oh,
I hope it holds that tray folds flat so I can put my TV dinner on it. Like when it comes over the top.
I'm thinking that, and this is just me, and this is from what I've gathered, is that CIG is looking to do more scientifically authentic gameplay when it comes to things like scanning. And so, like, when you scan a ship, depending on the range and the type of ship and what things are putting out, you may be able to identify a ship long distance from its silhouette or from its signature, based off of like, hey, it's producing this amount of heat, and you know from experience that a Hornet usually produces about that amount of heat, or around that amount of heat. So you can go,
I love that, by the way. Yeah,
that's a fighter, or that's a Hornet, or that's got to be a freaking Idris, because that thing is huge. It's making so much noise on the scanners.
Yeah, that's like a sonar operator on a sub.
Exactly.
To listen to what it is.
That's exactly what I was thinking with that red underglow light. It's like, okay, we're running silent. You know.
Yeah, and I think that's what the middle seat is going to be for. That's what the scanning suite is going to be for, and that's having someone to do that while another person is focusing on not dying while flying the ship. That's probably a good combo. But
that makes sense to me. But isn't it a one-man ship?
It's a two-man ship. It's got two seats.
Technically, it's one-man deep space, two-man operational.
But it has two beds.
Yeah. So it's two-man ship.
One bed.
That makes sense.
Oh, there was one bed. I thought it was two beds. Oh, yeah.
There's only one bed.
Just like the Navy. Just like in the Navy, you've got twice as many crew per beds.
Yeah.
If you want to send one guy out way deep scouting recon by himself, he's totally capable. He'll just switch up seats to do the larger suite. But if you're doing like a military operation where you're sending out like, we need to find out the enemy, you have plenty of O2 to go make it out there and make it back. It's just going to be diminishing.
Star Citizen doesn't work that way. Star Citizen, you log out through the bed, right?
Yes.
So you can't have twice as many people.
One guy will log out, and the other guy will get bed and log out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I thought maybe I'm wrong. Correct me, but I thought when you log out in bed, you're still in bed.
You are.
Yes.
Until people in the ship
log
out.
You just move over, push the guy over.
So two people can't log on the same bed. But the idea is that you can, for long-term operations, if you're going on deep space, you make sure that the person who you're replacing, you're just swapping it back and forth.
You can also log seat. They just said you won't be very well rested.
Okay. And that will affect your okay.
That's how the Hornet and Saber pilots will be able to do it. Because I'm a CIG developer, I know these things, right?
Yes.
I'm going to double check on that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Log out in pilot seat.
Because I don't know. That's news to me. Because why would they have all this talk about going in the back in the Hawk to sleep in the horribly uncomfortable,
shitty sleep, and you'll wake up unrested.
I know, but if you're flying a Hawk, right? They talked about going in the back of the Hawk that was the what is it called?
How are you going to get there? You're going to float around outside?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it's kind of weird.
Relaxing.
They're the one. I'm not the one who came up with the story. CIG. CIG is the one who came up with the story of sleeping
in a game where they're taking into consideration stamina.
Yeah.
And food. You have to be rested, or else your character's going to be what do they call it? Debuffed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I can like for instance, Kingdom Come does this pretty well, and I know we keep bringing it up, but it's a Crytek engine. It's a CryEngine game, so similar to Star Citizen. And CIG and Warhorse worked like this together early on in their developments. So, they obviously.
I'll just give me a perk where I can sleep in shitty positions, like in Kingdom.
But I mean, in Kingdom Come, there's sequences where you can't, like, if you're too tired. You just kind of go, ugh.
But I always pictured that certain ships are not meant for long range stuff. You're not meant to live in your fucking Hornet in this game.
You're not. You're also not meant to live in the freaking Terrapin. Yeah. Terrapin is designed if you're going long distance, it's because you're going somewhere that's super dangerous that a Carrack can't go, or another ship that is not as defense. And you're probably going into a combat, and so more than likely you're not going to have to hot bunk. But if you do have to hot bunk, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
All right, next question. Every time the answers are so long that My phone dies when that happens. When it locks out.
So does that mean if I'm not am I gonna have to sleep every like 24 hours, or I'm gonna lose all my
Oh
stamina?
yes,
because
it's
I
a
didn't
sleep simulator, sir.
Yeah. I don't think you.
No more 24-hour streams.
I think what you'll probably have to do is, unlike,
Take drugs.
yeah, you may have to have a certain number of time of downtime. It may not be sleeping, but you may just have to just not be doing stuff. So like hanging out in a port or staying in a bar can count towards your resting up a little bit. And then if you log out and you wake up again, then you can then you'll be more rested than if you just kind of pushed it a little before. And I don't think we're going to see a situation where they're going to be like, oh, it's one day in game, you're tired. It's going to be like, you've been playing for 7 hours. We're going to make your character tired now.
Have a coffee or something. Do it
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Also, we've just confirmed that bars are going to be critical to resting, so make sure to stop by them regularly.
I mean, the thing is that I'm not even joking. They've mentioned that bars are a huge part of this game because of how much they were in Freelancer. If you guys have never played Freelancer, that's where you get a lot of your missions. It's where you make a lot of contacts, is in the bars at the various landing sites. So bars, you may want to stop at a pub or a tiki hut somewhere and just grab something to drink. You know. Yeah, that's the thing, is you can't skip time in an MMO. That's why I don't think you'll see the kind of Kingdom Come or Skyrim style sleeping system where you just kind of wait.
But you can log out and log back in with another character.
Yes, and the other thing about that is that
wherever that our character's at.
by forcing limited gameplay, it extends the gameplay overall. And like I said, it's not, we're not talking about something like they're going to balance it out so that it's not like, oh, you've played 15 minutes, your character needs to sleep. It's going to be like, hey, your character has eaten, for a certain amount of time, then at a certain point your body.
That's why I always get nervous about whenever I hear CIG talk about stats and like buffs and debuffs, because it's like they've been totally against skill points and all this stuff. But if it's starting to be like where you get tired or you do these things or these things don't function right, I'm not really a big proponent.
I don't think it's going to get to that point where it's not manageable, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a game. It's supposed to be fun.
I'm okay with you have to think about stuff. Like when they mentioned about showers, you need to shower because NPC and
or run out of air. That makes sense. But you're not going to run out of air in 30 seconds. You're going to run out of air in 2 hours. You're going to have enough time to call someone and say, I am deep in the middle of Gila.
Yeah, unless you just ignore the warning light going off for 2 hours of gameplay and then you're an idiot. And they're like,
you deserve to die.
Your sleep buff and debuff should literally be you playing the game. Like, the longer you play the game and you get tired, you're going to be worse at it. Like, get some sleep.
That's the way
I can understand the sleep debuffs being passive, very small things, and also, again,
I'd be okay with them being related to NPCs more than players too.
Yeah,
because like if you have to rotate your crew, you have to manage that aspect. Is like, you have a schedule. It's like if you overwork this NPC, he's probably not going to listen to you. He's going to be really effing tired and perform his job like shit. That's okay.
Next question comes from Gil's Actor, who asks, if you could smack CIG upside the head and get them to change the Terrapin scanner seat console, how would you change it? I wouldn't. It looks fine. I don't know why.
I'd actually love to see the scanner seat console be inside a holographic projection, so you can spin the seat and see like directions. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
We'd almost have to see it work before we make any kind of critique on it.
Yeah. I just think it would make sense, because currently it's rotating and you can look up and down and stuff, but if you actually had it so that you were inside a holographic projection, you rotated the seat just in different directions, that'd be really cool. It makes sense.
If you think about it, what's the purpose of it rotating without that?
Yeah.
You have the screens here. I mean, you're rotating with your screens. Why? Well, it's fun. Cool. Okay. That's cool. I mean, you don't need to rotate to see anything in the Terrapin, really, unless it really were inside that type of hologram.
It's to make sure that everyone is properly motion sick.
Virtual sickness.
Yeah. Oh, gotta love
It'd be
that.
cool if it was like a shock stabilizer where it always kept you like upright or something like that, wherever you jostled around in the ship.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
I don't know. I don't have any problem with it. Then again, I'm not a huge fan of the Terrapin in the sense that I'm like, oh my god, I love the Terrapin. I'm like, I'm ambivalent about it, but from the way that I understand it, it's like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, there's a scanner on the freaking Aquila has the top scanner where you actually have to climb into it and use that as a scan, and it's like, that seems just like that.
I like the
Aquila
theme.
comes apart like
I like the theme of the
Yeah. What was that for you?
Like the idea of going deep into space, being like kind of you and your buddy like bunkered up in a ship that's somewhat armored and like high scanning and exploring and all that jazz. But the practicality of the Terrapin, like actually doing those things, I don't know.
No, if
Yeah.
it has the
with no
scanners,
cargo and all that. It's
Yeah.
no, if
bizarre,
it has the scanners that it's supposed to, and the way the armor is able to close down and limit heat, and you're able to down systems. I'm not saying stealth, like I don't want to use the S word, but it should be pretty sneak and peek. And a lot of people are not gonna. If you see that, you're not gonna say that guy's there to kill me because
Yep.
he doesn't have the ability to kill you. So it's very likely
Yeah.
that you'll be able to just go along with your way, and then the other guy's going to say it's not worth the crime stat.
Have
It's
they-
not worth the crime stat to start shooting at this guy.
And I don't want to completely derail the conversation, but have they talked a lot about? And this might be the naivety of me, but have they talked a lot about passive versus active scanning,
Yes.
like in the game?
Yep.
Like versus like heat signatures versus like radar and all that.
They're currently looking at active scanning being the things we do now, which is like where you see a system, you hit the button and it like locks on and it starts scanning. And passive scanning is something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's passive scanning. That's more passive scanning. What you can see based off of where your sensors can in your sensor range. And they have an active scanning system, which is like a sonar, where a ping you send out, and they've even had it in a couple of the PTUs, where you could send out a ping and it would just be a big flash.
Golf swing?
No.
Is that what they
Yep.
call it?
Well, no.
The golf swing scanner suite.
Oh my god.
And then you would be able to pick it up based off the ping that would go out. But the ping would just light you up like a Christmas tree. Everyone would see you sending off that thing. Yes, I have a
One
cat.
ping.
And then you could
one
talk like
ping
Sean
only.
Connery.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was going for.
I was going to say I've already been heavily practicing my scanning capabilities and training outside of the game by playing Tiger Woods golf.
Yeah.
So that way I'm 100% ready with all those. So just go into any EA golf game and you'll be 100% on par
Mhm.
with the whole scanning mechanic. No, I can't wait. I want to see what their thoughts are on the higher tier scanning. I mean, I have no problem with the golf swing type aspect for fighter craft and stuff. I mean, you don't need this type of scanner package that's like really complex
No.
on every ship. I just want to see what they're looking at. Are they looking for a sonar ping? I mean, how are they doing that? Are we going to drop probes on certain things?
Think about this.
You're gonna be able to
AWACS.
source-
So you put one
Yeah.
scanner ship in the middle, and that scanner ship feeds telemetry to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said
that'd be
exactly
really
what I
cool.
want. I want to see a gameplay where you have these active scanning ships that are highly visible because they're actively like looking at the battlefield and they become huge targets, but they're passing all their telemetry to these like stealthy like ships that can come in and actually oh man, that's going to create so much gameplay.
It is. And on top of that, I think you're also going to see that with ground-based gameplay as well, where those ships are actively looking for like hidden bunkers and stuff like that in a battlefield, or even with groups of like bounty hunters looking for a pirate base that may be hidden. So you'll have a ship that's flying around that's feeding data to the ground troops to make sure that they know where the enemy is, even if they can't see them, so they can orient themselves. So
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I've always theorized and hoped that somewhere in the game is going to be a planet with a resource that's capturable and controllable, but but can't be claimed. That's just really high value, so it'll turn into like this massive ground-based war.
Yeah, you
between
have to maintain
organizations
a
in that
physical
specific
presence
area.
there to hold it.
I think we'll
Yeah.
see that in non-controllable space, like in non-UE
exactly.
space. I think that's what we will see. Is like you can set up a mining operation there and even a mining base, but you got to hold that. Like,
Yep.
so
I think that's going to be something that's going to really
All
make
right.
it'll be like someone's developing a combined arm games. It's actually good.
yeah.
You have to make it a very high value resource, though,
All right.
because it has to be able to counteract the fact of some of us just saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy 10 land plots to get the same type of assets with no risk at all because of the UE. It'll just come through and clean it up for me." If I can make like 20 times that amount, if for instance, if I'm pulling one unit across each land claim I have that I pay for and have to have UE support, or I could get 100 units by holding one plot on an unclaimable area, that would make sense then. But otherwise, you're going to get people like large orgs where you have 20 people each buy 5 land claims. And they're like, hey, our resources just constantly flowing. We don't have to worry about it. But a lot of this is supposed to be depletable, according to what they said in RTV, like at least with mining so far. So it'll be interesting to see like how that's going to work.
Not so much depletable as in regens at some slow rate.
I don't know that it regens exactly.
They said Dan said. Now, granted, he's not all of CIG, but at the RTV, he said there was this idea of you might deplete resources, but there's going to be some gameplay mechanism that would recharge or reload.
That doesn't make any sense. You drop a claim, you basically rape the resources out of that area, just like we do in real life, and then you move on.
Yeah.
You pay for the land claim, you get your profit out of it, and then you leave.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just repeating what I heard on the RTV.
I think he was talking though, and that's why Todd Pappy kind of told him to talk about the mechanics that we're looking for in the smaller area of it, because he also mentioned things like botanical mining and all sort. You know what I mean? So organic stuff I can see regrowing, but if it's ore doesn't regrow. Yeah. And if they do want to sprinkle in new nodes, it shouldn't be the same location, because that's how you prevent macro mining and stuff. If something just constantly regens, you can set macros to where it's going to kind of.
Sorry, go for it. Okay, I was gonna say you could create a mechanism where like new tech comes out that lets you drill deeper or get like certain types of things out of the same node, right? Like,
Or
I don't know.
So it's important to understand that also we're talking about a game that's lasting. That's lifespan built in is supposed to be 10 years. So more than likely, what they'll do is if you mine an area completely stripped clean of everything you wanted to mine it with, which will take a long time because there's a lot of asteroids or a lot of resources on planets and moons, then you disappear. But eventually, they'll make up some hand-wavium BS where it's like either like an asteroid hit the planet and now there's more resources there, or like as you said, like they suddenly find that there is more resources down below than we couldn't see. But it's essentially it will regen, but we're not going to see something that's like a slow tick regen over time. It'll see more something like it will be they'll have like a certain stage like, oh well, it's been this many months and this thing's been exhausted. We'll just pop that back up, and it'll either be manual or it'll be automatic. But if they do it automatic, they'll have to develop a system for it. So
that would make sense. And maybe it's like some random thing, like where you have to then rescan the area to see if resources are magically back or not, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I support the asteroid idea because it could not only you have new belts appear, randomly in the systems, but then you have ones that actually come in and hit the ground and fertilize the ground with new ores and new things like that, but it's just kind of random, right? So a plot that you bought maybe, earlier in the year might not have a lot of value, but all of a sudden it's mineral rich. Yeah. Because there was like an asteroid or meteor storm that just kind of like hit this one area, and it's like, wow. So then people want to buy your land off you too.
And we're also looking
support speculation.
And we're also looking at something, again, we're talking about a game that's supposed to have 130 systems, with each system having an average of like 1 to 2 planets, if not multiple, not 5 to 6 planetary bodies, not even mentioning things like asteroid belts. So more than likely, it'll be difficult to completely exhaust a resource from someplace. It will become to a point where it'll become economically infeasible to do that.
Yeah, and the question is, do they actually really need to? I mean, I have thought about that. It's like you're talking about a world or universe in the game that's so vast from a square footage area compared to the number of players playing, that like even if areas did get completely exhausted, would the entire universe completely exhaust of resources? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe you don't have to replenish resources ever.
Yeah, and that's something they have to deal with down the road. And I do want to make a quick comment, because Madness isn't here spreading salt like it's his name is Ferrosalt. But Madness, I do want to point out to a lot of people as well. People are like, well, this is all speculation. Can't we just get the game fixed first? It's like, yeah, but we're talking about stuff that was been planned long ago and stuff that's coming up shortly. Scanning technology in game is one of those things that's in 3.2. Like it's one of the like how to scan for minerals, how to scan for salvage is in 3.2. So this is something that they have to start thinking about now rather than later. And we've also known from the commentary from Chris Roberts' commentary on the Vertical Slice that scanning technology plays a huge role in Squadron 42 gameplay. So they need to get that done as well. So a lot of these fixes need to happen, and yes, they need to balance it out, and they need to make sure that combat doesn't suck. But which it currently
It's not
does.
the same people working on the fixes that the
Yeah.
game currently needs in 3.0. They're also developing the mechanics for mining. Like Dan is not sitting there doing QA.
No.
So when people say, and I'm not calling out madness, that's other people say, "Oh, I'm tired of concepts and all the stuff they just need to do the game." All the people they have working at 500 employees or whatever, they're not working on QA.
No,
They are
475,
working on
I
the
believe.
next thing.
Yeah,
Because then,
something like that.
then you guys will be complaining just like last year, where we had a big drought of no new content coming in, is because they were just working on fixes all of last year to get 3.0 out.
475, yeah.
Content droughts. Everyone loves content droughts.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
that's fix time, though. Honestly, right, guys?
Yeah.
Fix shit to get 3.0 out. That's what they did, and so now people are like, "Well, these new mechanics are great and all, but I just want them to fix shit." Okay, well, let's replay 2017. I don't think so.
No.
Damn it.
Please don't.
Every time they pin new content, it's going to break something anyway. So just get used to it being good and broken, and then good and then broken, and then good and then broken again.
I have things to plan, Mitachi. I've got tournaments I got to plan. I got things.
Well, we should fix it so we can do Grey Cat Sumo and we'll call it a wrap.
Sumo confirmed.
I mean,
We'll just make it like the other game, Overwatch, right? Where it's
yeah.
like we tried to make a different game, it didn't work out, and now it's not.
Now it's
Star
Grey
Citizen,
Cat
it is
Sumo.
The Fuse Grey Cat Sumo battles with 60 FPS. Amazing.
I mean, I understand the frustration. Like, Fair Assault and I have been part of the SE4 group for a long time, and I know Nubifier's his group have been participating in this as well, and it's frustrating as hell to try to get things like that working when CIG doesn't seem to care about some stuff like combat, because
Well, 3.0 destroyed AC a little bit, right?
a little bit.
Yeah,
It
that-
totally
a little
destroyed
bit.
it. You know, it needs AC needs to
like,
get a complete
understatement.
rebuild from the
Yeah.
from the ground up. You know,
But that's
I don't
supposed to
play
happen
Star
in
Marine
3.1,
anymore,
so
right?
yeah.
I quit playing Star Marine altogether after 3.0 drop. I mean,
I-
there's- once you sprinkle in stamina and everything else on top of what was already wrong with Star Marine, it's like,
I'm coming from the outside, and I think I have a different perspective than a lot of people here. You guys are like been streaming and talking about Star Citizen
for
for
a long time.
years.
Yeah.
But for me, like I could see the frustration. Like you build a community. You're building a Twitch streaming community around a game and around a gameplay mechanic. And when that changes underneath you consistently, and that gameplay mechanic or that thing that you're building like changes, it must be really hard. Like all the things that I'm doing with Grey Cats, for example, right now, which for me is the greatest part of Star Citizen so far.
I heard they're going to pull them next week.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they change the mechanics, the way Grey Cats function in the game right now, half the things I do in Star Citizen would be erased overnight, and then I'd have to find some new thing to build the community around. And since I'm only like a month and a half old into streaming, I haven't had to do that yet. But I could see as a streamer, for example, it's quite difficult to like deal with the changing underlying mechanics in the game.
No. Please talk to us about key bindings.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it'll happen. I mean, it's going to happen. Everything changes throughout the game, and the one thing they haven't touched in probably the longest time now is the Grey Cat.
Yep.
I mean, the Grey Cat still wholly functions similar to when they tried to put him in Area
We're gonna give
18.
it jump jets.
Yeah, and
All I'm saying is rock climbing with the Grey Cat, OMG.
I'm waiting for Cyclone Sumo. The big boys
I
come
do,
in.
however, miss. I think it was 263 when the Grey Cats would just start to freak out if you left them alone. Just start bouncing, bouncing, flipping and
spaz.
rolling around.
Yep.
They still bounce around like everything does. All the wheeled vehicles jitter if you're not on a planet that has low gravity, at least in my
Or high frames.
experience.
Soros was
High
talking
frames.
about it that anything over 30, and the speeder seems to work like normal, and anything below 30, and they start to freak out.
All right. We've been getting off of a lot of this because we still have a lot of questions to go through. Let's go through these really
Sorry.
quickly. It's okay. It's important to get these conversations. But so Gildus Atcher asks again, why does a Terrapin have a bathroom but no galley, not even a microwave oven? Are you going to be pooping or not even eating or anything? Fits at sits rules. You're going to be carrying food because you need it for your character, but it's going to be in a box in the corner of the ship.
MREs.
Yeah, MREs. Just power bars, whatever, just things
I
that you
live
can
entirely off of
Bananas.
eat. Prevent that scurvy. Bananas, and grog. That's all you need. You know, just to
That's all I
survive.
need, baby.
Wait, so what was the question real quick again?
The question is, why is there no galley but there's a pooper?
And the answer was bananas.
And the answer is
Yeah.
bananas. Yeah.
Bananas, exactly.
Next question is from Gil Zatter again, who asks, is the Mustang Beta no longer going to be a TARDIS after the rework? Yes, it's not going to be a TARDIS. It was never really a TARDIS. It actually fit its inside.
Yeah.
But it's actually
But it
going to get bigger.
Incredible use of the space.
Yes. No, and it's actually going to get bigger now because they're going to replace the cargo area with a living area, and that cargo area is much bigger than it used to be.
Bigger, better than ever before.
With now added largeness.
Yes.
Next question comes from One Sovereign, Two Sovereign, who asks, the Vulcan seems to have shielding that comes up on the cockpit glass. As far as I know, this is something only something that Carrack has, and the Carrack has it for a very specific purpose. What do you think makes
Carrack and the Terrapin.
Why
Terrapin
does the
has it
Carrack
too.
have it?
It does.
I don't
The
know.
entire front of the Carrack closes down because it's a military
Yeah.
exploration ship. It's supposed to stop against radiation and rocks hitting the glass and all kinds of garbage.
Oh, well, maybe it's the same thing for it then. I assume.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is, it doesn't close down completely. It just kind of limits. So let's
Cool
say
factor?
I think it's aesthetics, because you have shields, and once the shields are down, then a couple shots are going to take out the cockpit no matter what. Sorry for just kind of barging in there.
No.
I think it's cool. It's
Projectiles,
cool.
the shields don't stop against projectiles, right?
Oh yeah, they
completely.
do.
They do,
get
but
worn down.
they get slowed down. Yeah.
They scrub a percentage off of its effectiveness.
Right.
Until there's
you're
no
supposed to have
shield.
armor, like actual armor areas. So I guess if somebody shot at you and the shields were down on the side, maybe it deflects some.
Yeah.
But it's pretty minimal. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about little teeny bits of the ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looks cool.
Till they tell us
They
otherwise.
did things
that's
for
what it
aesthetics and fun.
I've heard implied things. Sorry, I know I have questions to get through. I apologize, Paul Shelley,
Yeah,
but
it's
I've heard
okay.
implied things around like when it comes to Atmo and stuff in rooms, and based on like projectiles penetrating hole. Like, does a door have to blow off? Do we know in order for oxygen to deplete out of a room, or do like bullet holes?
There
and
just
things
has to
like
be.
that?
There just has to be a compromise. I think. The ships themselves will only be compromised if the ship takes damage. So, but it's not going to be as realistic as like you see a bullet hole and then there's going to be air escaping out of that bullet hole. It'll be more like the ship is damaged at this percentage in this room. It'll change its damage state and that'll start leaking oxygen as a result. But it only depends.
So it's not going to be quite the Sea of Bananas level of you've got to go down and patch the hole.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be that level. But you're still going to
But
see.
they are going to allow for decompression, like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Windowed rooms.
You're wearing a suit anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Is there again?
But I can see what you got.
Ever a reason to take off your suit?
Yes,
In the game?
the suits
Yeah.
don't. You can wear. There will be clothing that will be specifically for things like carrying capacity that you can put like tools and other stuff.
Interaction, hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just
Different
walk up to
things
someone
like
in
that.
heavy armor, like it'd be like someone walked up in full combat kit, and like a U.S. Marine walking to you in a full combat kit. You're not gonna exactly have a calm conversation with someone who sits there besides the bar, being like, "Hey,
It's-
I hear you need a job." It's like, okay.
it's
Who the
also-
fuck
I
is
haven't told
you?
you about the I haven't told you guys about the RSI laundry service yet.
No, it's
It's the
just like in
confirmed
real life,
damage
it's the
transaction.
it's the states of readiness, right? Like in the military, you have your levels if you're in a nuclear biological warfare scenario.
Yeah.
The command will tell you right now you're at level 3, and that means your suit's on and your mask is nearby, right? If you're in complete peacetime in a connie in a permissive area, then pants off, right? Just take off your suit. But if you know that you're going into combat, like you're basically going to go assault someone, then it's suit on, helmet somewhere, right, within reach. And when you start to take bullets, you're like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, now might be a lovely time to drop the sandwiches and put the helmet on.
Yeah. And that's the other things, like food and drink and all those kind of things are going to be important. And and when you have a full closed system like a suit, you use the oxygen. Like right now, it just refills naturally because that's just what it's a stopgap. But eventually, you'll have to take your suit off and charge it not only with power but also with oxygen.
Did they say that? Because I've always thought that they were going to have some mechanism that sucked oxygen out of the environment around
Definitely
you to replenish.
sucks.
Yeah, I mean, they may, but then at that point you're using oxygen much because in a space like that, if you overexert yourself, it's the reason why, for instance, in space, astronauts have to go through very extensive training before they even can do a spacewalk because they need to move slowly, and that's the reason why people are like, well, you seem to be like asthmatic after 4 steps. It's like, yeah, because you're carrying huge amounts of gear on you. Like the suit, yeah, it seems like it's really tight, but you also have a helmet on, and you're breathing through a very small section. You can use up your oxygen really quickly if you start breathing heavily. So it's like
you're
scuba
kind of
diving
confirming here that moment in a movie you may know where it's attention, this is your captain speaking. You may be experiencing some problems with our entry sequence and may explode.
Yeah, currently they
Firefly?
explode. Yes, Serenity, I believe is where that comes from. But there's going to be some systems in place where you're not just always on your suit, and they've also talked about, like, again, carrying capacity. Right now, you're limited. Your suits are limited to specific things, but there'll be some things you just can't carry via suit. Where you'll need like pockets. Pockets are wonderful things, and you won't be able to like put those things in your pockets. You'll have to carry them with you. Anyways, moving on. Next question comes from I guess I'm Sovereign, who asks, at one point will cleaning guy from AI from Calling All Devs be put into the game? Soon, TM. Soon. Trash Can Man asks, will the Vulcan be able to carry trash? My life for you. Yes. Yes, it will.
12 SCU of trash.
12 SCU
One
trash.
man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yep.
And then you can do like the Reaver thing and put all the trash on the outside too.
Yep. For those of you guys who don't know, that's a reference to The Stand. Stephen King's The Stand. Pretty good movie. Pretty good book. Better book
Or
for-
12
better
12
bit-
videotapes.
It's I guess because it's a miniseries, not a movie, right? And
What's
it was
a videotape?
it was
Is that like
It was
to
a-
repair your CDs?
it was a better book, but I still want to I still say that it's one of the best Stephen King like
Pack
media
a lunch.
other than like something like The Shining.
Get
This-
some diapers.
Yeah, it takes a while. It does kind of take you on a weird adventure though. Like it's really got 3 acts, and each act is its own story. It's almost like 3 books in one.
Super Mac Brothers.
Hey, Super Mac Bros.
I know that guy.
Who? What?
Next question comes from
I always watch the other brother.
Yellow 5, who asks, Does
Super angry.
anybody think the Vulcan as a multi-role support ship is similar to what the Cutlass was originally sold as? That was sold as a multi-role support ship. Yes,
It wasn't-
and
what-
no.
Wasn't the Cutlass originally sold as a fighter of some kind?
Variant.
Like
It was a heavy multi-role support ship, but it was mostly a
the
combat
doer
ship.
of all things, the master of none,
Yeah.
originally.
Still kind of like that. And the thing is that the Cutlass is
Tried to
still
fix that.
the Cutlass is still kind of going to be like that, and you can still resupply with the Cutlass, but there's no probes, there's no drones. And this is bigger than the Cutlass. This is a lot bigger than the Cutlass.
Ammo and
You know?
EV-80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cutlass is still the best value. I mean,
Yeah.
$100 sounds stupid to say that's like value, but
only in a Star System.
that the pack, the 155 pack that you can get as a concierge if you're just starting out, or if you have a couple $1,000 in the game and you know a guy who's starting out, buy that thing and gift it to him.
Yeah.
Because that's a no-brainer. 60 months insurance,
I'll tell you,
good ship,
I-
little bike.
all of you, I'm sure, in here in the stream have a ton of ships, but like I have almost every ship in the game at my disposal, and I stream all the time. I jump in the stream and I whatever, and I pretty much almost always fly the Cutlass. Like that's my go-to ship that I fly almost every time I stream.
I have a
It's a
Saber
solid
and a
ship.
Cutlass.
Every ship in the game, and his favorite vehicle is the Great Cat.
It's just the one that the Great Cat is my thing, but the Cutlass is just like the go-to spaceship. It's just
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
good. It's very universal. It's more. I like how they pushed it with the redesign into the heavy fighters / transport esque role.
Yep.
More. I think that was smart of them because it was too middle of the road before. It was not really curb towards anything. Couldn't really compete with like a Super Hornet at all in the fighter classes. The Freelancer was way better performer for like, most things than the Cutlass. Now it's got this niche where it's a good transport plus a good troop deployer.
Yeah.
I like it better than the Vanguard now.
And it helps
But
the
it
Cutlass
still
can-
needs door guns.
The
does
Vanguard's
need
going to
door
have
guns.
armor. It's going to have shit tons of armor compared to that
Yeah.
Cutlass.
It also
It'll
helps
still
the Cutlass
come
fits.
over again.
The Cutlass fits a lot of Great Cats. You can transport Great Cats in Cutlass.
Yeah. I still like the idea of door guns, though. I really like that, just because you can open it up and then shoot down with like
But-
LMGs or something like that. Maybe a
Isn't
mount
that just
and
going
an
to be like
LMG.
you standing with a big gun, Paul? Like just
Yeah, the
Yeah.
out the door, or do you actually have to have a mounted gun?
I
No.
would like a hard point to mount different types of
Yeah.
door guns on.
I'd love to see like a hard point where you could mount an LMG, because we know they exist
Yep.
in the universe, and just put them LMG down, and then it gives you some stability, so you're not like flipping out all over the place.
Yeah.
You
Do
know?
the same thing on. I'd be supporter of the same thing on the Vanguard.
Oh,
like
yeah.
at the back end, like have a tail gun that like you could
No.
do for troops
Perfect.
when you're loading offline
The
troops.
Titan suit's supposed to mount a size 1 ship weapon. Is that not what
Yeah.
they were talking about?
Size ones,
They'll
yeah.
make a pintle mount that can support exactly the same weapon
Mhm.
as your Titan suit. So if you're in a
Yep.
Titan suit, you walk up, you take your weapon off, you mount it on the ship.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Right. And it gives you stability.
Yep.
You can use the ship weapons just as well. No, but I mean,
Ship
I say Nikki said just for cool factor. No, the side guns are not just for cool factor. That's because if you the ship has to be essentially floating and pointing straight down if it's going to be doing air support like that.
Yeah. And think about like if
having-
you're flying
Yeah.
over the surface, being able to provide support, right? Like you said, you just dropped off a bunch of dudes in a Cutlass. Being able to loiter like an
Yeah.
AC-130 does. For
But-
those of you who don't know, Spooky
Yep.
can loiter in a circle and do battle effect and support the troop movement.
But if we're talking about
Absolutely.
side guns and like mounted guns, I'm assuming they're like larger than guns you can carry. We're talking about guns
Yep.
you can mount.
Yeah, right.
Right?
It'd be
Basically
between
about-
that bridge, right?
Yeah, but you're-
between an infantry type weapon
Like a
and
heavy,
between
a heavy
smallest ship.
either
type.
a
yeah,
heavy
yeah.
infantry weapon or a small ship weapon. Yeah.
All right, but you're basically saying that we can modify ships and add extra turrets that would normally not exist. Now, granted, they have to be manned
Yeah.
by somebody in a
Mhm.
zero G, like a zero
Yep.
atmosphere environment. But like still, like I mean, we're saying like we could take a Cutlass or not Cutlass, a Caterpillar, and like imagine all the guns you could put on the side of a Caterpillar if you
We'll
open the door.
that
advocate
anyways.
for that.
Gauss rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Get
can do that
dudes
anyways.
standing there with Gauss rifles.
Yeah.
So we basically have it anyways.
Yeah.
Also
That's
make
true.
it legit.
Or you have, and I always pictured if I can't get my broadside guns on the Caterpillar, I want to have just rows of people in Titan suits,
Yeah.
like just open the doors.
It's
and just
gonna
be like,
it's something like that is going to happen, and I think the real reason why having something why it would be good to have crew served weapons, like a crew served weapon on the side of a Cutlass for supporting ground support, is that they're still going to have people shooting at you from the ground, and you want the pilot to be focusing on not dying rather than focusing
well,
on
and
trying
that's
to
the thing.
fly
It's
and
like
shoot.
I'm looking small arms fires for infantry suppression stuff, so your guys can get on the ship and off the ship safely.
Yeah.
At least that it might be okay for some like air to ground fire support, but I'm really hoping the Redeemer will come back and be the attack helicopter, and that'll be more of the full line ground support, like air to ground type support.
I want the Redeemer to look exactly like the ship from Aliens.
Yeah, no, the dropship from Aliens. Yeah, I'll be okay with that.
Kinda cool.
That's one of my reasons why I hated the Redeemer, is because it looked terrible. But that was just my question, my perspective on that one. I don't think Fairsalt's muted unless he muted himself.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm muted.
You're not muted right
Not
now.
muted right now.
Okay.
All right, so let's go through these a little quicker because we are coming up on time here. So I want to we got a lot of questions and I want to get through some of this.
Go, Paul, go.
Yes.
Someone
No.
asked, does anyone think the Vulcan as a no, we were talking about one. Never mind. Karachi asks, was the Squadron 42 production schedule canceled to a later date? Do you think Squadron 42 will be this year? No, I don't think Squadron 42 is going to be this year, and it's not canceled. They've just changed this production schedule to have once a month they'll have an update from.
I don't think they ever said it was coming out this year.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think it'll be this year at all.
No.
Maybe
It definitely started coming out last year.
The queue will be when we have a plan for functional, fully done AI. That's probably when Quantum 42 is going to be ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. AI is the biggest thing holding them back, in my opinion. I don't know what they're doing for development.
AI,
But AI
scanning, probably some performance issues, but all of those things need to get blocked. When you start seeing that kind of stuff being done in Star Citizen, that's when you'll start seeing.
But you can fake scanning in a single player game. You can't fake AI. They have to build the AI.
Well, they don't want to
Especially
fake.
with
They don't want to fake
It's
it
the
though.
same AI that they're using inside the MMO. So,
Well, I mean, they also need to do an awful lot of level design for that game.
Yeah.
So even just from a content standpoint, not even the core mechanics, they've got a lot of work to do.
So I think the earliest you would see Squadron 42 is sometime in 2019 at the earliest, but that's only because of what we've seen so far. Says they're doing work and they're updating us on it, but it's just not done yet. It's not a finished game yet.
Yep.
Next question comes from Butts, who asks, will the game be playable this year, in both in terms of performance and in terms of meaningful, fun gameplay cycles? Also, CIG has pitched multiple patches. Are the true persistence patch? None have. I don't. What the hell? It's just a super long.
I'm really, really confused right now. Is the game playable? Yes.
yes, play it right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also
I put like
Does it
200
have
hours
meaningful
into it.
gameplay loops?
Yeah.
Not yet, but it's getting there.
I think there's a couple of them, but I think the biggest problem is that there are still. It's just missing a lot of that content, like
Yeah,
being
I
able
think
to buy
3.1
guns.
is going to make it more playable, and then 3.2 is going to do the other part.
It's going to break it and add a lot of content.
Is it a game? Yes. Is it the game that you want to play right now? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
And the question is, the finish up the question was basically like, do you think are they going to have this year have a like true persistence like you'd see in MMO where I think he was asking this progression. I think no, we're not going to see.
No, I think that
We're not going to see
It's going to be
massive.
reset every 3 months.
meshing is completely implemented.
Everything
Yeah.
you do in this game is going to be reset. It's alpha. It's going to be reset every 3 months. So I mean,
Well,
we're going to get. I've done 2 progression cycles already. Right, got a million AUEC,
Yeah.
washed it away. Million AUEC, they reset. They're going to do it again here soon. I mean,
It's going to reset more often than 3 months at this current rate. I feel like every week I'm getting reset back down to 0.
yeah.
The answer is that more than likely, if you're looking for a game that's finished, because that's what it sounds like, is this the game done yet? And the answer is no. Not is it playable yet? Is
Go
it
play
done
Eve.
yet?
Like
It's not.
2 or 3, like 3 years maybe is my guess on like actual like beta-ish kind of
something where you actually can progress and you enjoy yourself and you can get your levels or whatever, that version of it in terms of progression.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun in 3.2. I really do.
Yes.
I mean, it's
3.2
going to be buggy though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be really buggy because they just added the first time they're adding all this game mechanics. It's going to be a while, guys. You're probably going to love it 2 weeks after 3.1 drops, and then you're going to hate it after 3.2 drops until about a month after that, where it starts to clean up a little bit. And that's going to be.
Well, I also think 3.2 will add a really big meaningful step because it's going to be when they start being able to, well, allegedly, we can start purchasing ships in game.
Is that what they
with
said?
in-game currency.
They said
That was
3.2.
that was one of the sort of goals for 3.2.
I mean, that's
3.2, yeah.
that is my biggest pet peeve, and just
That
like
can still be reset though.
that is still reset.
Yeah, it will be reset.
But the thing
yeah.
the thing is that it still adds more meaningful content to the game because if someone who starts off with an Aurora and it's bought nothing but an Aurora can actually work towards something, even though it's being reset, they can still enjoy the experience.
And as for the again, just to reiterate on when they add new features and game mechanics is going to continually break the game. The main thing that broke the game over the last couple weeks, continually, and everybody can admit this, is interdiction.
Yes.
When they turn it off, it works better. When it's on, it works like shit. We'll
It's
wait till
horrible.
they introduce mining. Oh, we introduced mining asteroid belts or mining nodes on the ground, and it broke the game. There's no way to know until they do it, and then we figure it out on the way. I mean, it's going to be a constant path.
Yep.
We also know that
So-
absolute certainty when they add voxel asteroids, it's going to ruin the everything.
Yeah.
Not positive it would.
Next question comes from Joe Scott Moore, who asks, what other money sinks do you think CIG will include to slow down inflation? Current main ones are insurance, repair, rearm, and refuel.
Beer?
I mean,
Taxes.
food, taxes, hangar fees.
Yep.
Limitless.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do in real life, they can add to the game.
Any fee
But-
you can
but-
imagine.
Yeah, but transferring money between players is like the thing that like I don't know.
That also is going to have taxes on it.
Yeah.
So if you transfer money from one player to another,
Depending on the
there's gonna be a
amounts,
tax on it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be about the amount.
yep, and it'll be
Replacement limbs for all the times you injure yourself.
it'll be more expensive to
Yep.
send lots of smaller things than because you'll have to pay
We
tax
said-
on all of
we
them
said
than one
maintenance
big
too,
one,
right?
Yeah, maintenance
Yep.
too.
Do you think they'll create? Do you think they'll
That's gonna be
create
huge.
mechanisms where, with a risk reward, there's a way around taxes to some degree?
I mean, you can there'll be places
Maybe.
where you won't be able to play. You won't be able to have to pay taxes, but it'll be in places.
I'm paying
where
my
you're-
taxes out here.
Should
Where
be
you're
able to
gonna-
transfer money to org mates without tax. That's
Right.
just saying that because your org operates like a corporation, right?
Or if I leave
Possibly.
cargo, if I leave really valuable widow or gold or diamonds or whatever
Yeah.
is valuable cargo at a random location,
And someone can come pick it up. Yeah, that's completely
fine.
different.
Yep.
That's
A draw.
that's what we call
But you'll
fencing.
pay some sort of tax when you sell that stuff inherently, but not the same as that. It might be better to trade assets than it is to trade money.
Mm.
Because Chris Roberts said a long time ago that he said, I can't give my buddy $1 million in real life without paying a big gift tax for that.
Mhm.
That's the type of mechanic he's looking at in the game. If you give somebody a large fee of money, it's taxable. It's just the way they're going to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Next question comes from Mitachi. I don't know if you actually asked this question or not, but it says
I didn't, but that's okay. We'll say they represent me because I'm sure it's going to be a real intelligent question.
actually it is.
Good. See?
AMD is not the dominant CPU. Will Intel ever be able to compete with AMD? Oh, is now dominant CPU. I think you said. Will Intel ever be able to compete with AMD?
I don't know. You guys come to me on my show every day and ask why I got good frames. All I can say is Intel.
Yeah.
Mic
Well,
drop.
There's lots
Really?
of. there's lots of
I'm
things,
running Intel, and everybody's like, "Why does my Ryzen not do this?" I'm like, "You have to disable half the cores."
Yep.
Look at the
I'm just going to say that none of us are, I don't think any of us are qualified to talk about CPU architecture.
Yeah. No,
I'm really bad at hardware.
I have
configuration.
no.
I'm really bad.
I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
I
with
rely on other
CPU
people's
systems.
reviews and then I buy it.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I thought I overclocked my CPU last week. I actually underclocked it. It was until somebody else on my stream came to me and said, "Luke, the fuse." Luke's my name, but anyways,
Hi,
I
Luke.
think you underclocked
Hi,
your
Luke.
CPU, and they helped me through it. And they helped me overclock it eventually.
And I would point out that you can make AMDs run this game well, but you need to overclock the ever-loving crap out of them.
Yep. AMD is great for some things. They're not bad for regular gaming, and
Cook breakfast burritos on them. It's pretty good.
and they're really good for content creation because the multi-threading helps a lot with like
Stream machines,
the
yeah.
stream machines and stuff like that.
So I should probably point out at this point that AMD sponsors my streaming rig.
Yes, you should. You should actually mention that the AMD gave you your stream rig, did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love AMD because I think competition's needed in any market. It's good for hardware in
Yeah.
general.
No, it's good, and AMD pushing the boundaries in their own little way is different. It helps keep Intel on its toes.
Yeah.
So
There's lots of games that will run amazingly on Ryzen processors. Unfortunately, Star Citizen at this moment
Yeah.
doesn't take big advantage of them.
Bigley asked the next question, which I don't think is like it's. I'm not going to really be able to answer it, but you guys may be able to just guess just real quickly. He asked, "Will CIG bring in $40 million this year?" And I think
Yes.
up to this point, they've brought in about 35 to 38
Probably
million.
Done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One
On
more
average,
concept ship
yes.
and they're there.
Yeah. So
You think 40 million is a big deal? Wait till they drop 3.2 and everybody loses their mind.
Yeah,
But
if 3.2
like,
actually
look at the
comes out with
space
everything
bike.
it's supposed to, then yes.
No, all they need to do is put more Star Kitten on concept sale.
Mercenaries.
And we're at 100 million per year.
Meowsnaries.
I'm still waiting for the Star Kitten Edition paw tools.
Yes.
It'd be a whole.
No, it's
it'd
going to
a
be
whole
the
thing.
Star Kitten overclocking tool bench. That's not
Oh, there
coming
you
out.
go.
Yeah, and ATC Garden's not wrong. Like, there's going to be a lot of role players who come over when they add VoIP. VoIP is going to change the game. I know myself. I'm going to have to start coming up with different characters to play when I'm playing Star Citizen
gonna
when they're VoIP because I'll just be doing crazy stuff with people.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be ready with all my voice modulators so I can just be many different people.
And
That's going to be
yeah.
the biggest
and-
troll ever.
and
People are
ATC,
just
Actually,
gonna have to
I would
mute
say
it.
ATC. I've talked with a couple of my friends who are streamers who do RP GTA, and they've asked me about this game constantly about
Yeah.
when they can come in and that kind of stuff. So,
Well, Burke will be here for sure.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Burke's got a huge amount of money put in the game. too.
I've actually wondered how VoIP might change the way I stream. Actually, like with a lot of people who get on game with me, like you know what I mean. Some right now I throw them in the Discord channel and we play together. But I'm wondering if VoIP or whatever, like having that spatial awareness, like interaction, will create a more like seamless gameplay on stream with like a lot of people who are hanging out.
I wouldn't use VoIP on stream, unfortunately, in most cases because you can't control it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, anybody can come up and say anything.
Yeah, but that's the game. That's Star Citizen. How are you going to play Star Citizen in the future?
Not
at
with
all.
VoIP active.
Yeah, maybe. That's unfortunate.
I can't.
Right?
I mean, as a streamer, you can't. I mean,
yeah.
You're not going to be able to. You're responsible for the content that pops on your screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Delay. Added delay.
So
delay is still not a dump button.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Come on, OBS and XSplit, make
please.
a dump button, please.
Yeah.
I need a dump button.
Yep.
So bad.
I mean, Captain Rich is a dump button, but it's not the one you need.
Yeah, that button's entirely different.
So next question comes from Joe Scott Moore, who asks, do you think CIG is getting better at answering questions? Yes and no. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean,
the volume of questions is getting larger.
Yes.
They're better at
That's
listening to the questions that we want to have asked, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The problem is they still, every once in a while, intentionally misread questions they don't want to answer. Like, at one point, I remember someone was asking, will there be a female main protagonist option in Squadron 42 for calling, not for calling devs, for RTV. Mm-hmm. And when Disco Lando asked it to Aaron, he said, will there be a female character? It's like, that's not the question. The question is specifically.
Since that time, they've clarified that. Yes, you can play as a female character in Squadron 42.
They have.
That's not an issue and all this stuff. I think in the moment, maybe he didn't have the answer in front of him, and he helped Aaron do a nice little dodge there.
Yeah, which is
a good employee should.
Which is good, but as a fan of the game, I don't like that. I don't like dodges from, and that's the kind of shit. That's the kind of shit that 10 for the Chairman did all the time. We have a bunch of interesting questions that are hard.
If you notice,
fuck that. Let's ask some new ones.
When they have a question, they just straight out tell you, we don't know.
That's fine, and that's what I'm glad they are getting better at it. But they still every once in a while slip back into that routine, which they need to not do. You know, I don't want to beat Jared to death with it because they are getting better at this. But that's a good example.
Problem.
That happened months ago, like a month ago. You know,
the one that I would like is if there's a question in Spectrum like, is Track IR supported, and that gets upvoted, and everyone knows that Track IR is already being supported, then that question doesn't get asked.
Yeah.
Just to get the answer, yes, it is. That they circumvent that question and just say completely disregard it because it should be common knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Or just dev response in the chat.
I think they're doing better about that. Yeah, they're doing better about that now than what they used to. Because it used to be on 10 for the Chair, it'd be the same question. Chris would literally look at it and be like, I think we answered this just a couple episodes ago, and they'd still take the time to answer it.
Like I have no
a lot better. And if you read for those guys who haven't been to the Spectrum on the Calling All Devs attention thread up there, if you read at the top, he'll purposely say, just because you upvote this doesn't mean I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
Because there is questions that go all the way top. Like number one question for a while for this month was, why do I have to go to Reddit and other sources for my information on this? Do you really want them to ask that on the Calling All Devs? What a waste of time.
I know, right?
That's just a political statement. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Just,
it is. And it should just be, ignored. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Davmaster420, who is the next month's fair for Flare a Marine statue. Probably because the first one was a Vanduul, and this latest one was like a UEE, right? It was like a Marine, like a Navy pilot or something like that. And so this one's probably going to be a Marine. Yeah, we've already seen.
You know why? I hope it is.
Why?
I hope it is the trash guy from the background of Calling All Devs who comes in and changes the trash can. Because if they could get the cleaning guys, I want actual employees as figurines in my hangar. Like if I could get the Ben Lesnick and all stuff, but I want it to be the housekeeping.
You want 475 employees because there are 475 employees.
Why not? I mean, to be fair, most of the hangar flare. I don't give a shit about. I like the blueprints, but they went a little overboard.
Yeah.
I liked some of the things, but most of it's like whatever. But I would love to have a collection of all the devs
All the people
and
who
have a little figurine.
all
thing.
the
You
people
don't
who
want
are
those
building the
figurines.
game
You want those bobbleheads.
Bobbleheads
Yeah.
are fine too.
And
I
they're
take those.
they're great ways of giving credit to people who've worked on the game, who've put literally
Sure.
years in their life. Because
I-
anyone who's
I-
worked on software development knows that you literally forsake all
Yeah.
things when you work.
I want a
Well,
Nikki
I'd say
CIG in my
a Nikki
in my
CIG. Yeah.
We all need a Nikki CIG.
I want a hollow
I want the-
table. a broken ass hollow table. If you're like a backer from 2015,
Yeah, the
you get
hollow
a
the hollow
piece
table.
of shit, and it's got. You remember Spaceballs? He flips open the thing and it says out of order. He goes,
Yeah.
"Fuck! Even in the future, nothing works."
Yeah.
I want to rebuild that.
Yes.
But I'd love a Nikki CIG, a Jaylee bobblehead, and just get the whole collection.
All I ask is that we don't get a Matt Lightfoot one, just because I already have Matt Lightfoot staring at me with his cold dead eyes in DayZ. I don't need another cold dead piercing blue eye Matt, because he's got ridiculously blue eyes. If you guys see him on ATV, he's kind of short, but he's got these just like super light blue, and it's like when you're playing DayZ and you see something like that break your legs and then stand over you silently watching you crawl away, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And I don't need to have flashbacks from DayZ.
How
in my
long
freaking,
until they turn the hanger flares into loot boxes? This is gonna be.
No. I think EA pretty much showed people how that works. So
But
let's.
don't worry, they're gonna
There
be
you
free loot box you get every month. Because you're a subscriber, and then you can buy extra ones if you really want to. It's random items.
Battlefield already did that for you.
Yeah.
No.
Let's not.
Freaking loot box.
All right, next
More
question.
questions?
Yes, more questions. Let's get this through. Sorry. Next question comes from Mayonnaise, who asks, do you think planetary text / flora and fauna system will allow for the surface of a planet to have as much detail as there in Kingdom Come Deliverance or another highly detailed game? Yes.
Yes.
It's already
Overall.
been demoed.
They showed it off, yeah.
Yep.
CIG
Thank
Paul
God they don't have to do it like that.
God, yeah. CIG Paul Shelley asks, do you like zombies? No. I'd like to kill them, maybe. I don't know. Next question comes from Little Bit of Madness, who says, do you think Star Citizen would be like... What do you think Star Citizen would be like if Quentin Tarantino was to make it? There'd be a lot more swearing and a lot more
streamable.
blood.
There'd be
Yeah,
blood
almost friend
on
on
the
my board.
screen that just stays there.
We wouldn't be able to play it on Twitch.
No.
Yeah, and a lot more dialogue
Yeah.
talking about hamburgers and
I want to be
A lot
Mr.
more
Pink.
racism, too, yeah.
yeah.
Lord Master...
Anything that would make it not streamable.
Yes.
Call him
Yeah.
the Wolfman.
Lord Master asks, what will happen first? Star Citizen launches or Mitachi gets good at FPS? I don't think Mitachi will ever get good at FPS, so it'll
I'm on
probably
the decline, my
Define
friends.
good,
I've already
right?
peaked.
Yeah, he's
I've
already
already
peaked.
peaked about 20
Yeah.
years ago. So it's all in the decline now.
Let's see. There we go. Mayonnaise asks, do you think CIG will control the in-game economy in a way that avoids player creative monopolies?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They
Hell
already said
yes.
Game
that.
Master. They
Sorry,
call it.
Brandon.
They call it Game Master for a reason.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I do think that you'll be able to crash local economies, but only for very specific commodities, and
Yeah.
it will probably blow back on you pretty quickly unless you.
They're never going to allow one person to influence the gameplay for everybody else in the
Nope.
game.
No,
They're not going to let you EVE Online this shit.
no.
Yeah, I was about to clear. It is not Eve.
Yeah.
No, they won't. Not in the big part of EVE is the fact to how players can manipulate the environment and economy, and that is not allowed here.
Next question comes from Little Bit of Madness, who asks, "What do you feel won't make 3.2 in June from the roadmap?"
Half of the gameplay mechanics. I can't remember what was listed there.
salvage. I think salvage is not going to make it. I think mining will make it, but I don't think salvage will make it.
I think it'll only be mining, and they'll make it really nice.
Mhm.
But I think it's going to be mining, and is going to make it. And the rest of the stuff's up in the air. I
Yeah.
mean, if it gets it, cool, but I don't think so.
I think we'll get Hurston's and Moons, but I'm not convinced we're going to get Lorville and Hurston. itself.
Lorville is 3.3.
That's 3.3, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It's mostly all game mechanics 3.2.
Yeah.
And we don't really need more locations if they're adding in more gameplay in that
Yeah.
build.
Yeah.
I feel like if they added in a bunch of game mechanics and they expand the universe again, we're gonna continually have this like, oh, that's a little too much at once.
Mhm.
We need this iterative grow, fix it, add stuff.
They can't grow until they get certain key components fixed, like bind culling.
Mhm.
Like
Which is
they're not
coming
gonna-
in
they're
3.1.
try to though if you read the roadmap.
I know they're going to. It's in 3.1. Bind culling is right, but I'm just saying like everything hinges on that. If they don't get bind culling 3.1, it delays.
Here's the thing that drives me
everything
crazy with
else.
the bind culling and all that, because you got bind culling, you got server like object container systems, you got all this other stuff that really you need all these pieces to grow.
We do.
Yep.
You need all these pieces to grow the universe.
You need surf and
But
mesh.
they're just going to add in one at a time because they need to do it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just frustrating. It's like you see, like, okay, we're going to expand this, and then we're going to add in something we needed to expand that. So you know it's going to play like shit until they get the mechanic in that supports the expansion that they're going to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
this is going to happen.
unfortunately, Overlord, I don't think you're ever going to be able to effectively stream the game and play the game on the same rig. This is one of those games that's going to just suck every little bit of your. Even when they start optimizing towards GPU power, it'll still suck every little bit of your computer's energy.
Also,
Unless you
it's
want to
dangerous to
stream
do
it
it in
on
general.
very low res.
Or
You're
if you
talking
want to
about
use
streaming-
Shadowplay. If you use Shadowplay,
Yes.
I don't imagine it'll have a hit, but then you won't have overlays and all the
No.
good stuff. Right?
You're also talking about streaming a game that's not fully fleshed out, that's going to crash all the time, that could potentially crash your system or eat up your CPU or your memory. I mean, any game, regardless if it's Star Citizen or not, like streaming from your same PC, you're risking having to restart your PC, which would take the stream down.
However, we're also at the point where third-party devices are probably coming out this year to do dedicated streaming, where they're a standalone device. So,
Mr. Coffee, bind culling is essentially the thing that tells your game not to give a shit about what Matachi's doing on Daymar when you're at Levski. So it just doesn't bother to load up anything or to ask for anything beyond a certain radius around it.
It's that tree in the forest falling idea.
Yeah.
Does anyone hear it? If it falls and you can't see it, then it's
gives a shit?
irrelevant.
Yeah.
it's not just that no one knows; it's no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's tracked and everything. Like the server understands that the tree's down, but no impact on the mechanics of the entire universe.
The service will only send you a certain amount of information about you.
Yeah, because right now you're receiving all the information still.
Yeah. And it doesn't.
So everything that happens that doesn't relate to you, whether it's Nubifire blowing somebody up on a moon completely other side of the map or whatever, then you're still getting that data on some level. But the bind calling removes
someone spawns 6 Starfarers.
Yeah. That whole server takes poop because everybody has to know about these 6 Starfarers.
Yeah. So it's a good optimization. It's definitely necessary, but obviously at this point in an alpha, it's normal for it to not be present. So
yeah.
Well, CIG was part of a white paper on bind culling end of last year. So if you want to know more about it, there was actually a white paper published a while ago. Pretty good.
All right.
No?
Next question. White paper?
White paper,
White
what?
paper is a theoretical article based on how to improve netcode throughout a variety of games. It also provides some free resources. I'll have to try to dig up the link again, but
So it's like a GDC. It's like a GDC talk, like where the guys
exactly.
go talk about their own stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Next question comes from Little Bit of Madness, who asks, "How long will you spend on your character customization?" Initially,
it depends
probably
on
very
how
little,
detailed. Well, so if it's going to get reset all the time.
Yeah.
So initially, the first iteration is going to be quite limited. You're going to be able to have purple eyes or blue eyes or whatever. So I think about 37 seconds for me anyways. Unless I could put Super Mac Brothers' face on, I really don't care what I look like initially because I know it's going to get ripped, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping I can just go into the CIG place where they scan you, and then that's my character customization. Just scan me, put me in the game, and boom, I'm done.
Unfortunately, neither Astropub nor myself can do it because it would involve shaving off a beard, and I'm not willing to take that sacrifice.
Nope. You don't want to see me without my beard. I look like a 12-year-old boy.
They can have my beard. I don't care.
I would shave. I haven't shaved this off in over 25 years, and I would probably shave that real easy because I don't care. You scanned in the game? Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Next question.
Sure.
Sorry, I was sending a message out there. Mane015 asks, what past, present, or future MMOs or games would you like to see remade in Star Citizen Engine?
PUBG.
Yeah, I'd like honestly, I'd like to see like a Wild West type game, or just like a game like GTA or something like that. Something that's more in like you can use the depth of the world of the engine that CIG is creating, but over an entire planet. So because right now it's like you can go around moons or planets, but it's so quickly because you're in a spaceship. But like if you slowed that down to normal speeds, then it'd be kind of interesting.
Yep. Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good one. I'd like to see a Star Wars game in general come.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
I want to go to Endor. I want to hike through Endor, like in the forest.
I forgot. That was one thing I've always said. A Mech Warrior MMO with the Star Engine. With the Star Engine, would be cool.
I'd also love to see a properly fleshed out Warhammer 40,000 game using the engine.
Yeah,
EVE Online.
Space battles and stuff.
I want to redo EVE Online and Star Citizen.
Want to do Eve?
Wait,
Yeah,
Dust
redo-
514.
Redo Elite Dangerous.
Really
There
dangerous.
you go.
Ooh.
Hey,
Sorry, guys. I couldn't resist.
Below the belt.
I was gonna say Eve or Elite as a joke, but no. Next question comes.
I
from,
really would do EVE in that.
Just
'cause, I
redo
mean,
Dust
the amount of
514.
detail
That's all I'm
there's-
saying.
just redo Eve and combine it with Dust. Yeah. So
Yeah, make EVE what it was supposed to be instead of a bunch of little tiny IPs and all this crap they try to do now with the Dust and then it failed and all that. Yeah,
But Eve Valkyrie is very good.
it'd be combined in there because you would have all that, right? You would have Valkyrie, you would have all this stuff, you have that perspective to be able to walk around the ships that are built in EVE Online as a first person would be amazing to me.
Yeah, but that's what I when I first started. I think I started playing Eve, and I could be wrong about my dates, but I remember being in high school. I think. I know I'm
So last week.
I was like 2000, 2001. Isn't that when Eve was first kind of started
2002.
development? I can't remember.
2003 is when it started.
Is what it was? Okay, all I remember is like way back in the day I started following it.
Okay, getting older here. Thanks.
Yeah. So the very first day, I was just like, oh man, I can't wait till we can walk around ships and land on planets in this game. And it was that thing I waited for and never came. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love the community. I love the dynamic of it, but eventually the whole top down third person thing, you can only go so far with it. And they kept promising to do more and they failed every time.
Yep.
They couldn't go break out of what their engine and what they built. So
All right, let's get through this
It's hard to
pretty
change
quickly. We're almost. We've got a couple of small questions, and this,
Okay.
this next one's a little big. But Mayonnaise asks, "What would your dream sitcom venue be, and what kind of events would you like to see at it? Like, where would you like to see sitcom, and what kind of
Montreal.
Montreal?
I love
I live
Montreal.
An hour and a half away from there.
I would say Austin, but it's coming to Austin this year. So
that's what I was going to say
Yeah.
too. I was like, I live in Kansas City, but I can't wait to go to Austin.
Austin. If it was to be at Austin in the future, not this year, because I don't think it's going to be this year, in terms of venue, but in the Austin Convention Center and having it be like a big fan fest for Eve or TennoCon for Warframe or anything else like that, like just a big event where people are coming from all over the world, like hundreds of people come from all over the world. And you have orgs talking to each other, and you have tournaments, and you have
That's what it's going to be this year, right? We're going to talk about it. We're going to make it happen.
I wish we can. I hope I'll beat on
With your help, chat,
Yeah.
we can do this.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
There you go. Absolutely.
Honestly, though, I think like a CitizenCon Australia would be good as well, like a CitizenCon Sydney or Melbourne or something like that.
I will never suggest that one because the community will hate on me so hard.
Also, how many people would attend? It would take 12. I don't know. It's such a long.
It is,
flight
but
for-
but Australia has a ridiculous
I'd like to
high
point out-
amount of people who actually who are backers, and even
we
Sandy
organize
and Sandy's
bar
actually
citizens here.
yeah.
We've had bar citizens here with 100 people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and
gonna say, I think they'd
Sandy
still
was
sell
born
out.
in Australia. She's Australian.
I mean, I've never been, and I'd love to go. CitizenCon would be a good excuse.
yeah, exactly.
I could never afford that.
It's just like a 20-hour flight for me because I live in New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and but it's one of those things where it would also be good for the Asian citizens, people who live in like Indonesia or Japan or in China and such. I don't know. We think we have a ton of citizens who live in China. I know we have a community in Japan and South Korea, and I think there's one.
Singapore's got a big presence too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like these places it'd be easier for them to fly to Australia than it would be to fly to the United States or fly to Europe, and I don't know. I think that'd be a cool down the line, and it would be unique enough that people would be like Australia, and then it'd be like a vacation, that people would take to go down there. So, yeah, Russia too. Though I don't know if we would necessarily want to hold a CitizenCon in Russia.
In the middle of winter.
Yeah. Though again, Nubifire's not
They do have
wrong.
heaters.
I do. Nubifire's not wrong. Montreal would be a good either Montreal or.
I love Montreal so much. I go up there every once in a while for work, but it's a beautiful city.
What's the? Yeah, it's Montreal. It's probably the best one for there.
Turbulent?
It's Turbulence. Is it? Are they in Montreal?
Yeah.
I was going to say Toronto. but-
Benoit
yeah.
and all them guys. Yeah.
I thought they were in Toronto or something.
No, they're
A guy,
Montreal.
a guy called Benoit living in Toronto. Just saying.
Next question comes from Ello, who asks, "Will Star Citizen feature jock straps?" I don't know, but I hope so.
I was
hammocks.
thinking, no,
Yeah.
$30,000 concierge is a gold cod piece.
Gold cod piece.
That's
there you go.
confirmed. Developer.
With your
Please.
name
You're
on
not too
it.
far
Yes,
away from
confirmed.
that,
Go
Matashi,
to the forums and say you heard it from CIG Noobfire, who said
CG Noobfire said gold cod piece is confirmed for
Yeah.
30,000.
Yep.
Ashley asks, how do you think CIG will balance air-to-ground combat? Carefully. I mean,
Trial and error.
yeah. The biggest issue is going to be probably reducing maneuverability of ships in atmosphere.
I think it comes down to like people and players. I mean,
Yeah.
you can have a lot of ground vehicles, but you have to have people on the ground to man them. Who's going to hang out on a planet's surface waiting to jump into a ground vehicle at the moment's notice to like defend?
That's why the surprise of 2018 fall, they're going to come out and say all the ships can transform into ground vehicles. So it's going to be like Transformers. You hit the ground, and now you're a tank.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool.
I think the balance of Star Citizen will continually be human players. You have to have more players to do
And
more.
we're going to do stuff in the game that they're going to go, oh shit, we need to change that because all the time.
We already
We
are.
do it now.
It should
Yeah,
be-
we do it. We break the game on a regular
Grey Cat.
basis.
They have
Yes.
to nerf the Grey
no,
Cat so hard.
don't nerf the Grey Cat.
Well, they did once already because they're like, here you can drive this beautiful vehicle in Area 18. I'm like, oh, and then they're like, oh no, you broke the game.
We didn't break the game. We turned it into Mad Max. We would
yeah,
just
that's
fly.
so much
We'd drive
fun.
around and run over people, and then slam
so
into
much
each
fun.
other.
So much trolling, so
Yeah.
much quality.
How
there.
about when you could use grenades in Art Core, and you're just running around rolling grenades at everybody, and watch them explode, and wake up in the med bay. But no, I think it's a balance, and I think it'll probably have to do something with reducing the effectiveness of ships in atmosphere and more susceptibility to things like missiles.
Or things like reducing the effectiveness of energy weapons in atmosphere. That would probably be a viable thing to do.
Ground vehicles are going to produce lower heat signatures. They're going to be harder to like see.
see.
Radar scanning. You're not going
It
to see them.
depends on the
from
surface.
ships.
Yeah, it also
Right.
depends on the surface. It depends on the gravity.
Like on a yellow planet, absolutely, because it's cold. But on a hotter planet, you might be able to mask all your ground vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be good.
it depends on how they balance it. But again, it'll have to do with balancing not just ships, but ships and vehicles at the same time, like ground vehicles at the same time.
Yep.
So that's a time thing. Ashley asks, in game, there is a gas giant that has lost its atmosphere. Do you think we will see metallic hydrogen mining from there? This might be your super valuable resource. Possibly. I don't know
There's
too
a-
much about that, but
There's a gas giant that lost its atmosphere
yeah,
in lore.
yeah,
It's actually kind of interesting.
yeah. I didn't hear about that. So
But watch for it on the next Galactic Historian.
I mean, I'm gonna have to look it up now. I got to do something for next week, so maybe.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, would it really be a gas giant anymore? Anyways, all right.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Like,
Gasless giant.
how do you lose an atmosphere? slowly over time. Yeah.
Metallic hydrogen is only metallic because it's under a lot of pressure. If you lost
Yeah.
the atmosphere that's putting it under pressure, would it still be metallic floating? I don't know. Sorry, don't want to get too
I was
specific.
gonna say, if
I
you
think-
drink as much wine as the few, you could lose anything.
I think the for those of you guys who said lol Galactic Historian, that's what I do. I make a series called Galactic Historian. You should go check it out on my YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a playlist somewhere. You should go watch it.
See, guys,
Thank you.
he's gonna rush on the questions, and now you hurt his feelings, and now he's slowing it down.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Oh man, this ship ain't gonna sail itself.
Yeah, you're right. We gotta do that. We've got a couple more questions. Will we see the full system by the end of
Lightning
2019?
round.
No, full system is not going to be in the 2019. Below me asks if. Oh no, by the end of 2019. Yeah, probably by the end of 2019. By the end of 2018, no.
I think the full system we're in, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'll see that.
If it'll depend. If we see the two planets are supposed to come out this year, then yeah, probably we'll see it by the end of the 2019.
Those are the only 2 planets in the system, right? Or are there more?
They're
No,
Microtech and
There's 4.
and Crusader, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
Mr. Squarepeg asks, will there be a cherry red gray cat to celebrate the SpaceX launch? I don't know, but I hope so.
There already is a cherry red
You can't have it in the
Great cat.
queue.
yet.
Oh, there is a cherry red, isn't there? Yeah, it's a skin. I think he meant like the cherry red roadster kind of thing. But yeah, there is one. Next question
Red
comes
Cycle.
from Vietnam in space, who asks, since you're official CIG devs, can we get a purchasable door-mounted fire support seat for the Cutlass Black? Yes, we can. Confirmed.
Yep. You just have
But
to
also
go ahead
not a
and
seat.
help us with our Kickstarter over at paulshelley.com.
Paul Manafort asks, will I be able to launder money and commit fraud in Star Citizen? If so, what kind of fraud will I be able to commit? That'll determine money laundering. Yes, that's actually kind
Insurance
of
fraud?
Yeah, insurance
Yeah,
fraud.
Any game that has slavery is going to have insurance fraud.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have some like money laundering. I think is actually going to be a kind of an unintentional mechanic because pirates who are wanted by the UEE won't be able to go to UEE systems to sell their material, which may be more valuable in those areas than it is where they live. So they're going to need fences. And those fences will essentially be money launderers. There will be people who will take that gear, sell it for a profit, and then return to the bad guys and exchange money. They take a cut of the fee, cut of the business, and they continue to get this business to do what they want. And so they look like heroes. Next question comes from Joe's Got More, who asks, hypothetical question. Since Disney's looking to drop EA, would you like to see CIG making a Star Wars game instead of Star Citizen? No.
No.
I'd like to see it as a follow-up project.
Yeah, I would love
Well,
to see it after Star Citizen's done, but
I'd like to see Star Citizen provide the engine in which a game is built off of by a different artistic group or something. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't want them to touch anything like that.
no.
Yeah.
This game company. They're good with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most I would love to see CIG do after they finish with Star Citizen is to do a BattleTech or MechWarrior game, only because MechWarrior Living Legends was done by Sean Tracy. So
Millennium Falcon LTI.
Well, you think the fans are right now? We get bitchy and crabby and all that stuff. Have Star Wars fans follow the game, and then you want to see fire and flames.
One of the worst communities of all time is
R2D2 AI.
Yeah, God.
Some people just want to watch the
I
world
love-
burn.
Yeah, some people
I
just
love Star
get
Wars, but there's
obsessed.
absolutely no way I would like other Star Wars fans to be like harping on anything Chris Roberts makes.
Which is kind of weird because you hear a lot of people rack on like Star Trek, like, oh, Star Trek fans are so weird and nerdy. It's like, yeah, but they're really accepting of just about anything. Like even the new series that's come out, not everyone likes it. But there's lots of Star Trek fans who are fine by it. But you don't
Spore Drive? Spore Drive?
Yeah, but you don't see people losing their freaking mind about.
I didn't
about
mind that actually. That's
Yeah.
a super dark series. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's and like Star Trek is accepting because like the freaking parallel universe like is a thing. It's still a thing. And there's like various different universes, and like, oh well, you know, you can reboot stuff. It's like, yeah, it's normal. It's normal for Star Trek.
I thought this was one of the best Star Treks I've seen like since Next Generation.
It's like people forget that they used to do like random cheap saving episodes. We're like, we're on a gangsta planet. Why are we on a gangsta planet? Because we've got all these sets and props from
Nazi,
the Nazi planet from our. We've got all this leftover. This leftover uniforms and weapons from a World War II film. Let's reuse it on Star Trek. You know, it's the equivalent of using the Starship Troopers armor for a Firefly because they had it. You know.
No, it's a good series.
Yeah,
I mean, Spore Drive is a little far fetched, but overall,
it's a little
really
ridiculous. But yeah, like I personally am not a huge fan of it, but I know a lot of people still like it.
Yep.
Guild Satcher, last question: when will they be adding logging so you can be lumberjacks on alien planets? I think that's what they talked about, kind of with mining, with like the different types of mining. One of the type of mining will be for plant material. Organic.
So organic lumber itself, though, going to be a value in the game?
Oh yeah, wood is still used for stuff.
It is by origin.
Yeah.
Wood.
Oh
what
yeah,
can't it
Origin
do?
uses it. Nice hardwoods.
All right. Well,
I don't think you'll be building any cabins though.
No.
But yeah.
I think that's it. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out with us here tonight at the Astropub. If you did enjoy this, consider hitting that follow button, and you should be following all of these wonderful people right there. Link in the chat for you to click on. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can please hit that subscribe button, like, dislike, comment, join in the conversation. Of course, follow all these people whose links are also down below. I don't need to tell you to follow Noob Fire because he's Noob Fire. You probably already follow him on YouTube anyways. But the rest of us, we all stream. If you want to catch this live, we stream live 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT every Saturday. Feel free to join us. And I want to thank you guys all for coming in and being on here. Thank you for coming on, being first time in here. Fairasalt, thank you for getting up ridiculously early because it's like, what, noon there now? Yeah,
it's just afternoon here, and I've already finished a boot of beer.
Thank you guys all. Love you all.
Thank you so much for having me on. First time and everything, so I appreciate it.
It's fun. Hope to see you guys again soon.